How's it hanging, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to What If Naruto Was Trained by Uchiha Itachi during the Timeskip Part 1. Here's a summary. After Naruto ran away from Jiraiya, he ended up meeting with Uchiha Itachi. The meeting leads to student and teacher, and mature Naruto. His new dream is not to be Hokage, but to lead the shinobi world to peace. AU. Disclaimer: this fanfiction majorly deviates from the Shippuden canon storyline and Naruto will be completely out of character, so if that is not your cup of tea, please don't continue watching. With that, guys, enjoy. What was a friend, a brother? Was it someone you trusted with your life? Then if a friend was someone you trusted with your life, how is it that he or she could try to take away that? A life you trusted them to protect. The fact that Sasuke tried to take Naruto's life baffled him. He could not possibly conclude how his life had become in danger of fading away in the hands of Sasuke. Death could have claimed him in the hands of a person he proudly called his best friend, rival and a brother, if you might add. It was quite difficult to understand as to why Sasuke would try to kill him. True, he was trying to force the Uchiha back to Konoha, but that was his mission and something sort of a personal goal for him. Sasuke might not have been able to understand it then, but forcing him back to Konoha was good for him. Was revenge enough to kill your best friend? If Naruto was asked the question, he would have given a resounding no. Never in his wildest imaginations had he ever thought of killing his best friend for any reason, even if that friend tried to kill him. He would never dare to take someone's life, even the life of an enemy. Well, he had that mentality before the attempt to his life by Sasuke. Now, he did not know what to think, which notion was best to believe, which path to take. All his life, Naruto had endured pain, hatred and loneliness, things that could break any man. His endurance and kind heart showed just how strong he was mentally. There is a breaking point that all people have. This was his breaking point, a point of impasse. His mind was nothing but a crumbling skyscraper. Negative and positive had joined and become one, each lost of their path. Limit a border that he had never thought that he would ever reach at his young age. However, here he was, his limit reached. His mind could not function to its level best. The best way to program it, so it could compute better, was rebooting. Perhaps if he reboots, he could see what the world offered him. He certainly could not continue on the path that he had been taking, after it had nearly cost him his valuable life. Only a fool would continue on such path. Naruto lay inside the hospital bed, his entire body wrapped up with bandages. This was the first time that Naruto was being admitted to the hospital, and not think of running away. Mostly his attempts to run away had proven to be a success. Today, he had no thoughts of an escape plan. He had no sudden notion to escape. It was better for him to just lie down and dwell on his thoughts. There was nothing or anyone that would be waiting for him when he returned to his apartment. His thoughts mattered the most than anything else now. He could care less about anything, for now he just wanted to solve the puzzle inside of his head. His eyes stared at the cold white ceiling unblinking. His injuries were healed, yet he felt no need to leave the hospital. It was almost like he was chained to his bed, yet he felt no discomfort. He had been lying on the bed ever since Kakashi brought him back to the village. After his battle with Sasuke, he had multiple wounds, and had used more of the Kyuubi's chakra than his body could handle. Though his body had become familiar with using the Kyuubi's chakra, there was still a limit to what it could tolerate. During his battle with Sasuke, he had used more than his body could handle. Perhaps it had been because he had been angry with Sasuke for trying to kill him. Perhaps he did because he just wanted to prove to Sasuke that he was more than just a loudmouth knucklehead. Regardless of his thinking then, the results had been what brought him to the hospital. When Kakashi brought him to the hospital, he had been unconscious at the time. After the battle with Sasuke that ended up with him defeating Sasuke, he had lost consciousness. He had used 3 taels worth of the Kyuubi's chakra. Kakashi arrived at the Valley of the End where the battle had taken place. After the battle, Sasuke lost consciousness before Naruto. Neither of their health was at risk though. Their wounds were nothing that Tsunade could not heal. The mission to retrieve Sasuke had been a success, but he felt as though something, a part of him, was missing. Naruto felt as though he had lost a part of at the Valley of the End. That something he had lost was something that had made him smile every day. The doors to his room opened. Naruto did shift eyes to see who it was. He did not care. Senjutsu Tsunade, the god-aim Hokage, walked into the room. "You are very lucky, brat," Tsunade said. "Had it not been for your friend, you would have died from one of those wounds you received to your chest." She continued without taking note of Naruto's expression or the fact that he was not listening to her. "However, using the Kyuubi's chakra as you did was very irresponsible for you. Who knows what could have happened? I know you wanted to bring Sasuke back, but using that much of the Kyuubi's chakra when your body is not accustomed to it might have proved to be hazardous to your health. The Kyuubi might have even tried to take over your body. Moreover, that Uchiha brat is not it." Tsunade ranted out. No comment. Tsunade thought he was just at a loss of words. Thus she spoke again. "You should be happy that you completed your mission though," she said with a small smile. But if you do something so reckless again, I will put you in here for a month, and after that I will make you do D-rank missions for a year. Do you understand me, Naruto? Tsunade threatened Ina seriously. She knew how well Naruto hated the hospital. He hated even just to step inside the building itself. He also hated doing D-rank missions, as he was too cool and awesome for it. Someone of his skills and greatness is overranked to do D-ranked missions. Yeah, right, Tsunade thought with a snort. No comment. Naruto's eyes continued to stare at the white cold ceiling. He was not listening to what Tsunade was saying. He did not care. He had a lot to deal with in his thoughts. He had a puzzle to solve. A tick mark formed on Tsunade's forehead. Are you listening to me, brat? Tsunade asked, just a second away from losing her temper. She hated it when Naruto did not listen to her when she spoke. It made her feel like an idiot because she was speaking to herself. Still, Naruto said nothing, making Tsunade lose her calm as another tick grew on her forehead. She clenched her fists and began to take giant footsteps towards Naruto. She was going to beat some sense into him. Even if she had to break a few bones, she would do it, as long as it got her the results she needed. She could always heal him anytime she wanted. She was the best medic in all the elemental nations after all. Tsunade came into a complete halt as soon as she saw the look on Naruto. She had never seen him like this before. He was not even looking at her. She could conclude that by his look, he had yet to acknowledge her presence. His eyes that used to be full of life and happiness had none of that. They did not show much in terms of emotions, but she could see that deep inside those deep blues. She could perfectly see a child who has seen more than he should at his age, a child who has carried a yoke too heavy for him. Tsunade could see a child that was tired of everything, a confused child. Never had she seen Naruto like this. Nevertheless, she supposes it was understandable considering what he has gone through in his young life. If being hated by all the villagers for something he had no control over was not enough, Sasuke added to his woes by piercing his chest twice with an A-rank jutsu designed for the sole purpose of killing. Even she could never be the same if someone she considered as a brother tried to kill her, not once but twice. Given the situation at hand, Tsunade had no way of helping Naruto. He was close to her as her son. However, even with their relationship, she could not help him. She had no way of coping with difficult situations. When her heart was burdened with issues, her way of coping was getting drunk. Getting drunk was not something she could advise Naruto to do. Something that involved Sate was out of the question, and unfortunately, Sate was her stress reliever. You are free to go. All your injuries have been healed. There is no need to keep you here, Tsunade said in a low tone. She spun around slowly and left Naruto alone. She just hoped that Jiraiya, who had been listening, could be of help to Naruto. Naruto said nothing as a sign that he acknowledged her words. In truth, he did hear her. He just had many thoughts that disarmed him of the ability to speak. Jiraiya appeared out of nowhere and sat comfortably at the window, just as Tsunade had left Naruto alone. Still, Naruto did not react to Jiraiya's presence. His eyes just continued competing in a stare contest with the ceiling. Status of the competition so far has been a stalemate. Jiraiya looked at Naruto sadly. It pained the self-proclaimed super pervert to see Naruto in a way he was. Ever since he had come to know the boy, he had always seen him smiling despite everything that he faced daily. Naruto was just a child, like any child. He needed love and comfort from family. To get through the hard times, he needed his parents to be there for him for emotional support. Like Tsunade, Jiraiya had no way of trying to make Naruto smile. If he was burdened by problems, he went away to do his research, to be more precise, peeping. It was his way to cope with the hardships of the life as a shinobi. When one is a ninja, he or she experiences a lot of pain, most commonly because of the loss of loved ones. Being a shinobi was a lot more burdening than most people thought. People take it lightly, but the decisions that shinobi have to make may drive a non-shinobi insane due to their weight. Even some shinobi lose their sanity because of the weight of the choices they have to make. Nevertheless, unlike Tsunade, Jiraiya was willing to try something. He might not be best suited for this kind of situations, but he had lived many years and experienced many things to learn a few things or two. He had a way with words given his age. If you want to talk to someone, you know I am here for you, Naruto, Jiraiya said after a long deliberation in his head. Naruto remained as he was, his eyes never leaving the ceiling. Jiraiya sighed. That was not the way to start the conversation. He had been listening when Tsunade spoke to Naruto. Tsunade had spoken, but Naruto did not respond. He just stared at the ceiling like a cold, frozen, lifeless corpse. If he did not respond to Tsunade, what made me think that he would speak to me? Jiraiya thought with a sigh. Naruto, I know it must be hard for you accepting that Sasuke tried to kill you, Jiraiya said, his eyes leaving the blonde. But you have to accept it. Sasuke tried to kill you, and it was not because he was not thinking straight or under the influence of the cursed seal, like some people might say. He said, being honest with Naruto. It might be harsh, but it was the truth, and for Naruto to move on, he had to accept it. Sasuke was never your friend to begin with. Someone like him did not even deserve your friendship. You should just forget about him and focus on your own life, Jiraiya advised Naruto calmly. Naruto remained as he was. He heard Jiraiya. Nothing Jiraiya had said had yet to come across his mind. Jiraiya knew that Naruto was hearing despite his lack of answers. Do not make the same mistake twice, and let Sasuke in again. He will surely try to kill you again, and next time he might succeed. Jiraiya warned, looking back at Naruto. Do not let this get to you though. You still have many friends and your entire life ahead of you. After a few seconds of silence, Jiraiya spoke again. No matter what Sasuke says to you, do not listen to him. You did the right thing forcing back to the village, and it was your mission to do so. Jiraiya really hoped that Naruto was taking his words to heart. Sasuke was not a mentally stable person. He was out of control and needed real help to deal with some major issues that run rampant within his head. If Naruto did try to befriend Sasuke again, the Uchiha was surely going to try to kill Naruto again given the chance. Jiraiya smiled proudly as a thought sneaked into his head. I am proud of you as my apprentice for beating the Uchiha. It does not matter if you use the Kyuubi's chakra or not. What matters is that you, Jiraiya, trailed off upon seeing Naruto move. Naruto slowly made his way out of the bed. Jiraiya just watched him curiously. Naruto walked out of the room without even sparing Jiraiya a glance. Jiraiya stared at the door with a single thought running through his head. Did he just use the door? He thought to himself. From what he had seen so far and what he heard, Naruto had never, not even once, used the two to leave the hospital. Perhaps it was because he usually ran away. Nevertheless, even when he was given permission to go, he never used the door. It was always the window for Naruto. This is serious. I must go see Haim, Jiraiya thought, disappearing in a puff of smoke. Naruto stepped out of the hospital room. Jiraiya spoke. He heard him. It did not change his train of thoughts. His thoughts had been continuing as they had been before Jiraiya showed up. Nothing Jiraiya had said made any difference to his train of thoughts. It was as if the Sannin never spoke to begin with. Perhaps it was just because he just wanted to listen to his thoughts alone. Maybe it was because he was tired of doing what people always told him to do, and he just wanted to try things his own way. He just wanted to compute things on his own without anyone influencing him. Over the past few years, he always had the Sandaime, Iruka and Kakashi-sensei to help him deal with some issues. The Sandaime and Iruka were a big part of his decision-making. The life-changing decisions he had to make were under the influence of what the Sandaime or Iruka have had to say to him. Now he just wanted to deal with things himself. Naruto's footsteps came into a complete halt. His eyes narrowed at the door on his right. It was open and he could clearly see the occupant of the room. Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke glared at Naruto murderously. If looks could kill, Naruto would have been on the floor dead by the fierce glare Sasuke went him. The glare was fierce enough to send chills on anyone's spine it was directed. Unlucky for Sasuke, Naruto just did not care. Sasuke was radiating a murderous aura upon seeing Naruto. He had never so much hatred towards a person. He had always hated Itachi more than anything. He devoted his life to kill Itachi because he hated what his brother had done. He hated Itachi for killing their parents. Even the mention of the man's name was enough to put him on the edge. His hatred towards Itachi burned inside his heart. It was alive and fed on his emotions. However, the hatred he felt for Naruto did not compare with the hatred he felt for Itachi. It was most infuriating because he could not move a muscle to do something to the blonde. His body was wounded, and his chakra was sealed. If that was not enough, he was chained to his bed. Anger boiled within him, creating illusionary steam blowing out of his nose and ears. Sasuke was beyond angry. Naruto was the reason his chakra was sealed. He was the reason he was chained to the bed. He was the reason there were Anbus guarding him. The Anbu did not even blink while they watched him. They did not want the Uchiha to escape. Given the chance, Sasuke would surely try to defect again. He had done it once, he could do it again. Naruto had stood in his way for power, his way for revenge. It was unforgivable in the eyes of Uchiha Sasuke. He could not forgive Naruto for standing in the way of the one thing that meant life and death to him. He had thought Naruto would be able to understand, since he knew loneliness. In some sense, Naruto was like to him, so he thought Naruto would be able to understand what revenge meant to him. However, he was wrong. The dope did not understand him at all. Sasuke had cursed himself for thinking that Naruto would understand him. Naruto never had any parents to begin with. He never had anyone taken away from him. Naruto did not have his brother kill their parents just because he wanted to test his strength. Naruto was unlike him. They could never be alike. He was not stuck within Konoha, hawks watching him 24/7. Naruto was to blame for all this. Sasuke felt his pride damned, degraded by the fact that Naruto had achieved the feat of stopping him from defecting. By defeating him, Naruto, the dead last of their academy class, had defeated him. Uchiha Sasuke, brother to Uchiha Itachi, and a genius on his own right. Naruto had achieved that feat even when he was using the power Orochimaru gave him. Even his Sharingan had fully matured, and yet he was unable to defeat Naruto. Naruto had used some orange-reddish chakra to defeat him, but that did not matter. A defeat was a defeat regardless of how it came. Naruto had done something never in his life had he thought the idiot would be able to do. It baffled him how an idiot, loudmouth knucklehead like Naruto could defeat him, and Uchiha. He was more skilled than the idiot, he was special, and he had a bloodline superior to any. Naruto had none, he was not even skilled, and yet he defeated him. The fact that Naruto defeated him was unacceptable. Bubbles of anger danced in the inside of his mouth, disarming of the ability to utter words of hatred. He wanted to yell at the blonde, rip him to shreds with his bare heads. The fact that the blonde was standing in the passageway, eyes narrowed at him without care, enticed him to murder the blonde with his eyes and thoughts. Naruto engaged the gears and began to move forward. He did not say a word to Sasuke as he felt. The fact made Sasuke angrier than he had been. Sakura walked out of Sasuke's room. Seeing that Sasuke was glaring at someone, she saw Naruto walking away. Naruto weighed up. She called out. Naruto did not stop to listen to what she had to say. Sakura increased her pace and walked up to Naruto. Naruto was walking at a rather comfortable pace. I heard from Tsunade-sama that Sasuke-kun tried to kill you, Sakura said, walking beside Naruto. I am sure he did not mean to. Sasuke-kun would never do something like that if he were thinking straight. He was not thinking straight, Sakura said, believing in her own words. She did not believe that Sasuke could try to kill Naruto when he was thinking straight. Naruto was his teammate, they were like family. Family did not try to kill each other. Although she could never admit it to anyone, Naruto was close to Sasuke than she was. Well, anyway, I just wanted to thank you for keeping your promise to bring Sasuke-kun, Sakura said with a genuine smile as she came to a halt. Naruto just walked away without saying a thing, not a damn thing. Sakura stood still watching Naruto with a confused look spreading across her face. Hokage's office like any other day. Jiraiya burst through Tsunade's office through the window. Tsunade was used to Jiraiya's unique way of entering her office, but sometimes it just annoyed her. She could not understand why he would choose to use the window when the door existed. No matter how many times she has told the perverted Sannin to use the door, he continues to use the window. Even if she closes the window, he breaks it just so he could enter. It was often disturbing because normally she would be taking a nap. When Jiraiya budges in the office through the window, he disturbs her nap time. She could also be doing something private that she does not want anybody to see. Even if she locks the door, she cannot keep Jiraiya out, given that he never uses the door. Tsunade sighed tiredly. Despite being annoyed by Jiraiya's behavior, there was an important issue they had to deal with. How did it go? She asked, leaning back to her chair. She would need to be leaning on something due to the weight of the subject at hand. Jiraiya looked at the village of Konohagaka no Sato through the window. His eyes went to Tsunade. Still the same as you left him, he replied with a frown. He did not like the mental state of his student. Tsunade nodded. How bad do you think it is? She asked in a low tone. Sasuke's attempt on his life hit him hard. I never thought I would see him like this. Sasuke must have meant a lot to him, and Naruto must have trusted him. With Sasuke's attempt on his life, he betrayed his trust. Jiraiya replied, his eyes going back to the streets of Konoha. Having someone you trusted betray you was one thing that was heartbreaking even for him. However, he was experienced, and it would not affect him as much it would to Naruto, given that he was still just a child. Do you think he will be okay, Jiraiya? I can't bear to see him like that, Tsunade said sadly. As any mother, she could not handle seeing Naruto in the condition he was. She wanted to see him smile and laugh, call her Bar-chan, do all the annoying things he did. She could contend with that, but what had become of Naruto due to Sasuke's actions, she could not contend with. Don't worry, Haim, he will be fine. He just needs time to deal with all the issues, and he will be back to his happy self again, Jiraiya said, trying to soothe Tsunade's worries. Despite saying it like he believed Naruto would return to normal, something inside of him was telling him otherwise. I hope he does go back to his usual self soon, Tsunade stated with a worried look on her face. Jiraiya nodded. We have to do something about Naruto and Sasuke. They can't be allowed to be near each other, or another battle might be ignited. And if that happens, someone might die given both their current mindset, Jiraiya said, looking at Tsunade. If they two were not separated and Sasuke was outside the hospital, he would surely try to get back at Naruto for standing in his way of revenge. Given what had happened, Naruto would certainly not wait for Sasuke to try to kill him again. The mention of Sasuke's name made the Goddamn Hokage's blood boil. She never did like the Uchiha brat. Moreover, for him to attempt to kill Naruto was pushing her buttons. That brat, Tsunade said under her breath. If it went for the damn council fools, I would have ripped his body to pieces the moment Kakashi brought him back along with Naruto, Tsunade said with clenched fists. He really wishes she could go into the hospital and beat up the Uchiha until he was nothing but a bag of meat. Don't think of things like that, Haim, you might end up doing it, and you know that it won't end well, Jiraiya stated. He knew from experience about Tsunade's temper. If she kept herself in the company of such thoughts and Sasuke were to come in her office, she would certainly break every bone in his body. Tsunade sent Jiraiya a narrowed look. She knew he was right, and she hated it when the pervert was right. Thinking those thoughts about the Uchiha brat was surely not going to do her any good or Naruto. The council, to be precise the elders, would certainly be pissed if she did something to their precious Uchiha. She was certain that the elders did not actually care for the boy. but rather his bloodline, the Sharingan. That was what made them tolerate the Uchiha's spoiled behavior. Sasuke was needed for the restoration of the Uchiha clan, which was now near extinct. I guess you are right, Tsunade conceded with a tired voice. I have thought of something that will help Naruto clear his thoughts and make him stronger. The moment those words left Jiraiya's mouth, Tsunade had already given the perverted Sannin her full attention. You are aware that the Akatsuki is after Naruto for the Kyuubi. Naruto can be captured at any time if he does not have someone capable of fighting off S-rank criminals. Jiraiya paused for a moment. Tsunade nodded in understanding of Jiraiya's words. Naruto also needs to train so that he can be able to protect himself against the Akatsuki. What are you suggesting, Jiraiya? Tsunade asked. She did have a guess as to what her former teammate was trying to say. I want to take Naruto on a 3-year training trip. I will train him so that he can be able to protect himself against his enemies, whilst also protecting him, the Akatsuki Jiraiya said, and fresh air from outside of the village will be good for Naruto. Given his current state of mind, going into a place that he is not familiar with will give him the best atmosphere to think clearly. Jiraiya added, selling the idea to Tsunade. Tsunade took a thoughtful look on her face as she dissected Jiraiya's words. She could trust Jiraiya with Naruto's safety. The pervert was the strongest in the village. He could handle S-rank criminals on his own. Naruto needed the training. His current skills were quite pathetic if she were to be honest. Without the Rasengan and the Kage Bunshin, Naruto had nothing. Kakashi never trained the boy. Something she needed to discuss with the Jounin when she does see him. Getting out of the village would definitely be the best option for Naruto. New faces and environment will certainly give the blonde new experiences different from the village. However, there was another thing that could put all that into jeopardy. Jiraiya was often irresponsible. He could not be trusted to always keep an eye on Naruto. He was prone to leave the blonde and go away to do his research. You have to promise me first that you won't leave Naruto alone to peep, Tsunade stated, looking at Jiraiya with a serious expression on her face. I have told you many times that it's not peeping. It is called doing research, Jiraiya said, correcting Tsunade on her error for calling his precious research peeping. If you can't promise me that, then you can't take Naruto. I can always have Kakashi and some trusted Anbu train him here inside the village, Tsunade said with a hidden smirk. That was always an option, but Kakashi had to be forced to do it, given that he had been Naruto's sensei for months, and he never taught him anything other than tree walking exercise. Fine, I won't leave him alone to do my research, Jiraiya said in a defeated tone. Tsunade smiled, though she knew Jiraiya would never stop peeping. He had been doing it as far as she could remember her younger days. When do you plan on leaving? 2 days, Jiraiya replied. I will get the paperwork signed. I just hope that you don't plan to turn him into a pervert like you. Tsunade finished with a glare leveled at the Sannin. Jiraiya smiled nervously. It had crossed his mind, and he would never miss the chance if it came. Before Jiraiya could replay, the doors to the office opened. Shizune walked into the office carrying a load of papers. Tsunade immediately glared at the stack on papers Shizune was holding. Tsunade-sama, the elders are calling for you at the council chambers for a council meeting, Shizune said, placing the heavy load on top of Tsunade's desk. Who called the meeting? Tsunade asked, taking her eyes off the paperwork. I think it was the elders. The clan heads are already present at the chambers. You should head there now, Tsunade sighed, getting up from her chair. Let's go, Jiraiya, and see what those old fools want, Tsunade commanded. Council chambers. Who called this meeting? The Goddamn Hokage demanded as she burst into the chambers where the Shinobi Council and the elders waited for her. Hiashi Hyuga, head clan of the Hyuga clan, Nara Shikaku, head clan of the Nara clan, and the Jounin commander Inyazuka Tsume, matriarch of the Inyazuka clan, Inoichi Yamanaka, head clan of the Yamanaka clan, Chauza Akamichi, head clan of the Akamichi clan, Aburam Shibi, head clan of the Aburam clan, Hamura Mitakado, Kahara Utatane and Shimura Danzu were there, the retired shinobi. This entire people, including the Hokage, formed the Shinobi Council. Civilian council members were not invited, given that they had no say in shinobi matters. Tsunade took her steps and sat at her seat with Jiraiya closely behind her. Nobody would tell him to leave the council chambers even when he was not a member. He was the strongest in the village, and most important a Sannin. That gave him privileges that other shinobi did not have. So, Tsunade barked, narrowing her eyes around the table to look at each council member. The clan heads shifted their eyes towards the elders, prompting Kahara to speak up. Tsunade, it was us who called this meeting, she said. How many times have I told you to address me with proper respect? Tsunade asked rhetorically while glaring daggers at the retired ninja. I am the Goddamn Hokage, and you will address me Tsunade-sama or Hokage-sama, or I will have you thrown out of the council. Is that understood? Tsunade said, leaking a bit of her killing intent directed at Kahara to get her point through. You can't do that, Kahara stated in defiance. Not even the Hellgendame Hokage could get them out of the council, no matter how many times he wished he could. Tsunade was not smart as Minato Namikaze. Thus, when Minato failed, she was bound to fail. Yes, I can and I will if you continue to show me that blatant lack of respect, Tsunade stated in a firm tone, making it clear and believable that she could get rid of the elder from the council. Very well, Hokage-sama, Koharu said, not directly looking at Tsunade. The younger generation has lost respect to their elders, Koharu thought. Tsunade was inexperienced and needed guidance from her and the other elders to lead the village to success well. That was according to her own belief. Good, so why did you call us here? Tsunade asked, pleased that she got the foolish old council member under control. Danzu narrowed his eyes slightly without anyone noticing. If one could look at him on the outside, one would think that the old war hawk was not even thinking of anything. His expression was blank as always, body language showing nothing as always. Deep inside, he was thinking and plotting for his next move, but first thing first. Tsunade was developing a backbone. With the way she was handling things now, it would not be easy to manipulate her. Nevertheless, Tsunade was Tsunade. She is bound to make careless mistakes due to her short temper and the emotions that hinder her from doing her job, Danzu thought with an inward smirk. We called this meeting to discuss Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto, Homura stated, looking at everyone within the chambers. Tsunade sighed with a grim expression spreading across her face. She could not be cheerful about the subject of the meeting. The meeting was bound to give her more work to do and more matters to solve. As you are all aware, Uchiha Sasuke has recently attempted to flee from the village, but thankfully he was brought back to the village. Homura continued, our children almost died trying to bring back, and I heard he almost succeeded in killing his best friend. Soon commented, she could care less about the Uchiha. Her son, Kiba, was at the hospital in a critical condition because of him. Her words earned a few nods from clan heads, which were blissfully ignored by Homura as he continued, we must do something about him, or he will try to leave the village again given the chance. As you all know, we cannot afford to lose the Sharingan, he said, making it clear that what was important in Sasuke was not the boy himself but his Dojutsu, and the fact that he was the only one present that could produce more Sharingans. I suggest we lock him up in a cell. A prison sentence is what he deserves for trying to betray the village and join a traitor who led an invasion against us, Hieishi stated with an impassive expression on his face. His nephew was lying in the hospital at ICU because of Sasuke. He had nothing against the Uchiha, but his actions had led to his nephew's condition. It was also the right punishment for him, given that he tried to betray the village. Shikaku nodded, I agree with Hieishi. Sasuke's attempt to betray the village could be counted as treason, given that he was going to join Orochimaru, an S-rank criminal responsible for the death of the Sandaime, and the invasion we are still recovering from. Shikaku stated, if his actions are seen as treason, then execution awaits him. Inochi commented, Tsunade and Jiraiya had smirks on their faces. They liked what the head clans were saying. Neither of them would have any problems with having Sasuke charged for treason. What the clan heads were saying was making Tsunade cheerful. We cannot afford to take such extreme measures against the boy. It is indeed true that he tried to betray the village, but that was under the influence and manipulation of Orochimaru. As Homura has said, we cannot afford to lose the Sharingan. We need the Sharingan to strengthen our military power. Koharu objected. The Sharingan was a powerful weapon that they cannot afford to lose if they want to remain as the strongest hidden village in the elemental nations. What do you suggest? Tsunade asked for the sake of it. I suggest a more lenient punishment. We should lock him up in a cell for 6 months, and then let him out, then train him to get the power he needs, so that he does not attempt to leave the village again. We all know that he attempted to leave the village for the sake of power, Koharu stated with a calm look on her face. No, we cannot treat the brat like a spoiled brat. Sasuke is no different from any other shinobi of the village, thus he cannot be treated differently. The favorable treatment is what turned him into what he is right now, Tsunade stated firmly. I agree with Haim, we cannot allow him to think that he can get away with anything. An appropriate punishment has to be sanctioned, though I agree with you on one point. The Sharingan is indeed a powerful weapon we cannot afford to lose. Jiraiya spoke for the first since arriving at the chambers. Danzo smiled inwardly. Jiraiya had just given him an opportunity to play his card. Danzo cleared his throat, getting the attention of the rest of the council. I have a suggestion that will please everyone, he stated, getting everyone to be interested to what he had to say. They all knew the old war hawk was always scheming something. It was obvious that the old war hawk was prepared for this. It was certainly interesting to see what he had cooked up this time. Give the Uchiha to me. I can train him and give him the power he desires, and in return, I will turn him into a perfect weapon for Konoha that will never betray us, Danzu said with a hidden smirk. His face remained blank, as it had been as if he did not say a thing, while inside he was planning to turn the Uchiha into a perfect weapon for himself. And a perfect weapon for yourself, most of the council members thought, eyes looking at Danzu. Tsunade thought for a moment, that could work. I have no doubt that you can turn him into a weapon for Konoha, but like all shinobi you train, they turn out to be loyal to you to the end. Tsunade commented, not hiding the fact that she knew that his root was still active. The root were highly trained and could be useful in the future, which was why she had not done anything against it. But having Sasuke locked up at your root bases will not give him a chance to escape. It was a risky move to allow Danzu to have Sasuke, but it was the best given the current situation. It will also leave her without to deal with Sasuke. My training will also teach the boy proper manners. Danzu added, trying to make things to his favor. If there are no objections, I will allow Danzu to train Sasuke. Tsunade said, looking around the table to see if there was an objection. The clan head said nothing. If Tsunade was allowing Danzu to have Sasuke, she must have a plan cooked up. Hamura and Kahari had no objections. Seeing no objections, Tsunade spoke again. I will allow you to have Sasuke under one condition. Danzu narrowed his eyes at Tsunade. You are only training Sasuke to become strong and loyal to the village. You will return him under my control after you have finished training him, and you will give me monthly reports about his progress, Tsunade stated firmly. Danzu nodded. He was fine with the conditions. He had expected her to say something like that. He would have been a fool to think that Tsunade would leave him unchecked and allow Sasuke to work for his route. Good, I think that's all for now, Tsunade stated. Hokage-sama, Kahari said. There is another issue that needs to be discussed. Which is? Tsunade asked impatiently. The Kyuubi. Danzu replied he desired to have the Kyuubi under his control. With Sasuke and the Kyuubi under his control, he would be unstoppable. He could picture himself sitting at the Hokage's seat with his weapons kneeling beside him. You mean Naruto, right? Tsunade said, dangerously looking at Danzu. Danzu nodded in return. Their issue with Naruto has already been solved, so there is no need to discuss it, Tsunade stated dismissively. Will you tell us what you have discussed and with whom? Danzu asked. I have discussed Naruto with Jiraiya. Naruto will leave with Jiraiya for a 3-year training trip, Tsunade responded. That is a logical solution. Jiraiya-sama is the strongest and the only one capable of protecting Naruto. The training trip will help Naruto become strong, so he can be able to protect himself in the future, Shikake commented. Tsunade nodded. There will be no other thing to be discussed about Naruto. I have made a choice, and it will not be changed, Tsunade stated firmly with a fierce glare, daring anyone Danzu to say otherwise. Good, this meeting is over, you are all dismissed, Tsunade said, dismissing everyone. Danzu left the chamber with a calm look on his face, despite not being able to get the Kyuubi. But he would wait. He had not come this far because he was impatient. Patience was virtue, he knew it. He would get his hands on the Kyuubi, or so he thought. That went well that I anticipated, and you are handling the elders way better than Sensei did, Jiraiya commented after everyone had left the chambers aside from him and Tsunade. Yes, it did, Tsunade said with a small smile. That is because I am unlike Sensei. Sensei cared too much about what they thought and allowed them to make some decisions for him, Tsunade stated. Jiraiya nodded in agreement. The Sandaime had allowed the old fools to dictate most things under his watch. He even allowed Danzu to do as he pleased. I'm surprised that you allowed Danzu to train Sasuke, knowing that he might try to make the brat loyal to him, Jiraiya said. Are you sure that was a good decision? It was a risky move, but I doubt that even Danzu will succeed in making the brat his personal weapon. He might get the brat to stay in the village, but controlling him, I doubt that will happen, Tsunade said, not knowing how right she was. The following day, Naruto sat alone at the Hokage's monument overlooking the village. His eyes seemed like they were looking past the village of Konohagaka no Sato. His eyes were not looking at Konoha, but past the village, himself. He was looking at himself through the village. A mirror of himself reflected at the end of the village showed a rather gloomy image of him, one that was like an alien that would scare those that knew him. It was not every day that the happiest person in Konoha could turn out sad. It was something that would surprise even those that hated him. People expect to see Naruto grinning from left to right, even though it was often called annoying. It was what people expected from Naruto. Anything less than that was shocking. Naruto had not seen any of his friends that were at the hospital. He did not even go to get some ramen. The ramen stand was the place he always went after leaving the hospital. However, Naruto was not functioning as he normally did. His ways were lost, some forgotten, some he just did not care. Kakashi appeared via sunshine and stood beside Naruto. He did not have his usual orange book within his hands. Kakashi lacked even his usual eye smile. His right eye seemed unfocused. One could very well tell that the Jonin was not having the best of days. The Jonin looked as if he had been crying and had not slept in a while. Kakashi had been having an emotional turmoil. The emotional turmoil was breaking him because he felt guilty to what happened to Naruto. He was the one to have taught Sasuke the jutsu he used on Naruto. The jutsu was created for killing. He never thought that Sasuke would use his signature jutsu on a teammate, especially Naruto. If Naruto had been killed, he could have as well committed suicide, as he would not have been able to live with himself. Naruto meant more to him than Sasuke or anyone that was alive. He might not have taken the time to train the blonde, but that did not mean that he did not care for the blonde. Naruto might not know it, but he was like his little brother, given that Naruto's father was his sensei, and had been like a father to him. Naruto's father had even taught him his prized jutsu, the Rasengan. It was just a sign of how close he really was to Naruto's father. The fact that Naruto did not know his father did not ease his turmoils. Naruto's eyes stayed on the reflection of himself as if he did not acknowledge Kakashi's presence. That man was an emotional wreck, he had his own problems to deal with, and he did not need to add to what he already had. Naruto, Kakashi said, bringing out all the confidence he could so that he would be able to say what he wanted to say. I'm sorry for what Sasuke did to you. I should have never taught him that jutsu. It is my fault for teaching him. I just never thought he would use it on you. Kakashi said, sadness, guilt and regret dripping from the tone of his voice. Naruto stood and turned around to face Kakashi. Kakashi could clearly see that he was looking past him. Guilt, regret, have none of that, Naruto said in a monotone voice before walking away. The words danced inside Kakashi's head. He could not understand what Naruto meant by his words. Was Naruto telling not to regret teaching Sasuke Chidori? Was he saying that he should not feel guilty for Sasuke's actions? If that was it, did Naruto not find him guilty for Sasuke's actions? Was Naruto telling him to be sad for what Sasuke did to him? All the questions left him confused. He could not understand what Naruto meant. To understand, he would have to find someone who could help him. Later that day, Ichiraku Ramen Naruto was having his lunch at the ramen stand. He was eating his ramen at a rather comfortable pace. He was not devouring it as he normally did. He was savoring it. This caused both Chuchi and Am to stare at him with wide eyes. Naruto, is everything alright? Am asked her, toned down. Naruto just shook his head and continued to eat his ramen. He was not going to lie and say things were fine when they were not. He was not alright, and he would say he was not alright. Saying he was fine when he was not did not help at all. Father and daughter stared at Naruto. They had never seen him like this before. Even when he was not having a good day, he would lie and say he was fine. This time he actually made it clear to them that he was not alright. The fact that he was not even smiling or replying made them worried for the blonde. Is there something we can do for you, Naruto? Chuchi asked, looking straight at the blonde. Again, Naruto shook his head, but this time he shook it negative. Before Chuchi could say anything, Jiraiya appeared beside the blonde via sunshine. The white-haired Sannin sat on a chair beside Naruto. Can I have a bowl of miso ramen, please? Jiraiya stated, looking at Chuchi. Chuchi nodded and went away to the kitchen with his daughter. Naruto continued to eat his ramen as if Jiraiya was not even there. Am brought Jiraiya his ramen, and the Sannin began to eat. The ramen stand was greeted with a few minutes of silence. Naruto had nothing to say to Jiraiya. Jiraiya was just trying to see if Naruto would say something first. I'm taking you on a 3-year training trip, Jiraiya said, breaking the silence. He had just said it, thinking that it might cheer the blonde. However, Naruto did not even pause or blink at his words. After finishing his ramen, Naruto stood up and turned his back to the ramen stand. I will be waiting for you at the gate, he said, walking away from the ramen stand. You want us to leave now? Jiraiya asked. Naruto turned around and faced Jiraiya. He gave Jiraiya a look that clearly said, I thought my words made that clearly obvious. He gave Jiraiya the look and turned around again, walking away. Fine, I will go to see Tsuneheim first, Jiraiya said, more to himself than Naruto. He looked at Am and saw the worried look on her face. Do not worry, he will be alright. When he gets back to the village, he will be back to his cheerful self, Jiraiya said to Am, trying to soothe the teen's worries. I hope he does, Am said sadly. Jiraiya smiled before a realization dawned on him. That damn brat, he left me with the bill. Jiraiya yelled, particularly to no one. Naruto had left without paying for his ramen, which meant he had to pay. He hated paying bills, he hated using his money. It was why when he was traveling with Naruto while they searched for Tsunade, he used Naruto's money to pay for the bills. 25 minutes later, Jiraiya appeared at the large gates of Konohagake no Sato in a swirl of leaves. He had gone to Tsunade to get the documents for him and Naruto. The documents would help them for when they visited other villages, and for when they returned. The Hokage signed the documents. The documents also acted as proof that they were indeed at a training trip should someone question their disappearance. Jiraiya saw Naruto leaning against the wall with his hands in his pockets. He noticed that Naruto had not changed his clothes, and was not even carrying a bag for his things. Naruto walked forward, passing Jiraiya. Jiraiya just turned around, stared at Naruto's back. Naruto, where is your bag? You cannot go on a training trip without packing a few essential things, he said. I have nothing to pack, therefore I have no need for a bag, Naruto replied monotonously as he continued to walk away from the gate. Jiraiya sighed and followed Naruto from behind. This is surely going to be long 3 years if he does not change quickly, Jiraiya thought, looking at Naruto. 3 days later, Naruto lay in a bed at a hotel. They were at a small town they had come across. Jiraiya had tried to hustle money from Naruto to pay for their rooms. However, Naruto had told the Sannin that he had no money to pay for a hotel bill. Jiraiya paid, albeit sadly seeing his money leave him. Nothing much had happened since they left Konoha. They just walked in silence. Jiraiya had tried to start conversations, but found it hard to maintain a conversation, given that Naruto did not want to talk. He just wanted to travel in peace without any trouble. Jiraiya looked at Naruto. I am going to see my spy contact. Stay here and do not go out. If you are hungry, eat here at the hotel, Jiraiya said. I might return tomorrow, but do not worry. If there is anything, summon a toad to inform me. He finished his instructions and left the room. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the door after Jiraiya had left. Jiraiya had yet to tell him how they were going to train. He had never even mentioned a word of training. It was always like this with Jiraiya. He favored peeping than training him. Jiraiya had only taught him the Rasengan, because it was the only way to get him to accompany him in his search for Tsunade. Naruto thought for a moment. When Jiraiya was training him before the Chunin exam finals, he never trained him to better his skills. The Sannin had only gotten him to sign the summoning contract. He never trained him in anything else, other than chakra control exercises, and learning to use the Kyuubi's chakra. In some sense he was like Kakashi. The only difference was that Jiraiya had taught him a few useful things. However, they all favored something else other than training him. During his time with Jiraiya, the Sannin had always spoken about utilizing the Kyuubi's chakra. It was as if Jiraiya thought he was nothing without the Kyuubi's chakra. Controlling the Kyuubis was most likely what Jiraiya was going to teach him for the whole 3 years. Naruto remembered correctly. The Sannin had already started training him in using the Kyuubi's chakra. He was surely not going to train the way he wanted, and his jutsu arsenal would not increase if he stayed with Jiraiya. The Sannin had introduced him to water walking. He had yet to perfect the exercise. Chakra control exercises were certainly what they would do first, and with Jiraiya, it would take a year for the exercises to be completed. If he were being honest with himself, he would say that his ninjutsu arsenal was pathetic. All he had was the Rasengan and the Cage Bunshin. Take that away and he had nothing. He would be just as useless as Sakura. Naruto wanted to increase his own skills. The Kyuubi's chakra would act as his last resort of triumph card. Staying with Jiraiya would certainly do him no good. Without another thought, Naruto walked towards Jiraiya's bag. He opened it and took out his training trip documents. He folded the document and pocketed it without a second thought. Naruto walked out of the room calmly using the door. He even used the door leaving the door. He was in no hurry or afraid that Jiraiya would catch him. Naruto knew that Jiraiya was getting drunk somewhere with women he paid. It would take a day or so for the pervert to return. When he did, he would not find him. He did not need to leave a note behind saying that he had left. Jiraiya was smart enough to know that he left on his own. 2 days later he had no idea where he was going. He just ran through the Fire Country's forest. He would figure out where to go as soon as he was far away from Jiraiya. Years of experience in hiding from ambus after he had done a prank to the village would certainly pay up in getting Jiraiya off his back till he found a place to hide. Hello, Naruto-kun, a voice said from behind Naruto, forcing him to come into a halt. Naruto was cursing himself because someone had found so easily. It had not been even 3 days since he was on the run, and now he was already found. He looked at his jumpsuit and cursed it, remembering what people had said about it. Maybe it does give away my position easily, Naruto thought to himself as he turned around to see who had found him. Naruto turned around to see who had called his name. His eyes widened upon the man his eyes came to see. He was truly shocked to see the man in front of him. He never thought that the man would find him alone just after he had left Jiraiya. Never. Something like that never even crossed his mind, not even a wind of it. The man was wearing an Akatsuki cloak and had blood-red eyes called the Sharingan. He had seen the man before when he had tried to capture him. It was a time when he was with Jiraiya while they were searching for Tsunade. During that time, this man he was seeing had shown him just how strong he was by beating the crap out of Sasuke, his own brother, as if it was nothing. This man was an S-rank criminal, and the one to have massacred the Uchiha clan single-handedly. Many feared him and admired for his power. He was the strongest Uchiha of his generation and a prodigy of the Uchiha clan. Naruto's thoughts about the man were that he should run away from him, given that he was assigned to capture him for the Kyuubi. This man was Uchiha Itachi. Regardless of what his body was telling him, Naruto knew that he could not escape from Itachi. He was not fast enough to do that. He did not even have the power to slow down him down. No matter how he might run, Itachi would catch him before he gets anywhere. Running away was pointless. It would just be a waste of time and energy to try anything. Naruto cursed himself for being caught so easily. Of all the people to get to him, it just had to be Itachi, the man who was trying to capture him. Itachi was his enemy, so to have his enemy get to him just 2 days after leaving Jiraiya was troubling. Naruto stopped cursing himself and jumped down to the ground. His features went to blank, showing nothing, no sign of fear or preparedness to fight. Naruto just looked calm with a blank expression that would make most have difficulty in reading what was going on in his head. Uchiha Itachi, Naruto stated monotonously. Have you come to capture me? He asked. Itachi shook his head. No, confusing Naruto. though. The blonde never showed any confusion on his face. Itachi walked further closer to Naruto before coming to a halt. He features were just as stoic as usual. "Follow me," Itachi said, wailing past Naruto without another glance at the blonde. Naruto had no other options. He was as good as captured. Even though Itachi showed no hostile intentions towards him, he still had his guard up. Thinking of it, the Uchiha never showed any hostile intentions towards him even when he had come to him to capture him the time he was with Jiraiya. Nevertheless, that did not mean that the man did not want to capture him. Last time he had even asked him to come with him and his partner, so that they could take him away and rip the Kyuubi out of him. Regardless, he had no choice in the matter. Last time he had stood his ground and tried to fight because he was a fool to think he could take out an S-rank criminal. Letting out a sigh, Naruto turned around and followed Itachi. Just because he was following what Itachi had instructed did not mean he was just going to allow himself to be taken easily. He would wait for his time. If indeed Itachi was taking him to the Akatsuki base, he would pull out everything he had to try to escape, even if doing that might cost him life. Going down without a fight was never his style. Right now, he was just doing it the smart way. For 3 days, Naruto followed Itachi. They were hopping through the trees at fast speeds. They only rested a little to recover spent energy. While on the stops, Itachi would hunt for food for them to eat. One could not travel with a complaining stomach for days. The only time Itachi spoke was when he was telling Naruto to stop so they rest, and when he was telling him to get ready, so that they could leave. Naruto did not mind the silence, though. It worked better for him. He still had to work on what to do with his life after the events of the Valley of the End. His past life was what led to the event to happen at the Valley. He did not want to leave that life again. He did not wish to be betrayed again. It hurt more than anything did. While traveling with Itachi in silence, he was working on finding a solution for himself. He also had to think about his training. The training was why he had left Konoha in the first place. The training was why he had abandoned Jiraiya. There was also his current situation. Any choice he would make regarding his future would be worthless if Itachi took him to the nest of Akatsuki. He did feel a part of him telling him that it was not the case, but still he could never be sure. He did not know much about Itachi. What he knew was that he was Sasuke's older brother, a member of the Akatsuki, and the man responsible for the Uchiha clan massacre. What he knew was just common knowledge everyone who has heard of the Uchiha knew. He was also wondering where the Uchiha was taking him. Itachi never did say where he was taking him. He just told him to follow. Itachi was truly surprised that Naruto could keep up with him without sticking out his mouth like a tired dog gasping for air. He had heard that the boy was energetic, but he did not think he was this energetic. The fact that he only seemed slightly winded meant that the kid had a lot of chakra and stamina. Even for a Jinchuriki, he had to have Taya already. It was not every day that one found a genin who could keep up with an S-rank shinobi without so much as complaining. A few hours later, Itachi dropped from the trees, making Naruto imitate him. They walked slowly for a few minutes before they arrived at what seemed to be a house. The front of the house had an Uchiha clan crest painted on them. The house hidden, it would make it a hideout. Naruto just followed Itachi from behind as they entered the doors inside the house. Itachi led Naruto to the kitchen and motioned for the blonde to sit down. Naruto was first to speak as he was confused. It did not seem like Itachi wanted to take him to the nest of Akatsuki. "What is this place?" he asked, looking straight at the Uchiha clan hideout. Itachi replied with an impassive tone. It was one of the hideouts that was located within the forest of the Fire Country. The Uchiha clan had many hideouts around the nations that they used before hidden villages were formed. "How were you able to find me so easily after I abandoned Jiraiya? I was sure that I had covered my tracks well enough to hide from everyone," Naruto asked curiously. Itachi just happened to find him just after he had abandoned Jiraiya. He knew Itachi had been assigned to capture him. Jiraiya had told him that much. However, the timing of the Uchiha's appearance was making him curious. "I have been watching you since your fight with Sasuke at the Valley of the End," Itachi replied, his eyes searching how Naruto would react to being reminded of his fight with Sasuke. Naruto gave none, which made him suspicious of the blonde. "Why? Was it so you could capture me easily?" Itachi shook his head. "I was not watching you because of my job as a member of the Akatsuki. I was watching you because I was interested in you." Naruto looked at the Uchiha for a second. "Why? You were the only person to have been close to my foolish little brother. So close that you used to see each other as brothers and other reasons," Itachi replied nonchalantly. Naruto noticed were and used Itachi reference his relationship in past tense. "Were." Something like a smile formed on Itachi's face, only for a second, though. "You are very perceptive than people give you credit," Itachi commented. Naruto just shrugged his shoulders. "You are also very calm than usual, given the situation you are in. Moreover, the impassive look on your face is not something that seems to have been adapted to recently. It seems like it has been there for quite a while now," he added. Again, Naruto just shrugged his shoulders. "Perhaps it might have been," he replied. "So," Naruto continued, going back to his question, "given your reaction towards Sasuke's attempts to kill you, and how you are now, it is logical that you no longer see him as your brother. Itachi said flatly. Sasuke was willing to kill you for the sake of power. Power to Sasuke was everything. It was his life, his greatest desire. And if anyone stood in his way of getting power, he or she would certainly be his enemies. Seeing as you did just that, resulting in Sasuke's attempts to take your life, it is logical to conclude that none of you see each other as brothers anymore. Itachi replied as if he had read both Naruto and Sasuke's minds. Naruto nodded. Sasuke no longer meant anything to him. The moment Sasuke pierced his chest with a Chidori in an attempt to kill him, their relationship was dead. Sasuke had succeeded in killing him. As such, Sasuke was dead to him. The Sasuke that was living now was just like any other shinobi of Konoha. It would not do him any good to keep clinging onto a selfish bastard like Sasuke. The Uchiha only cares about his revenge, and he did not matter to the Uchiha. That was why he had attempted to kill him. Therefore, he did not have to be concerned with someone like that. To put it simply, he no longer cared for Sasuke. That was why he was not even thinking of ways to kill Itachi for what he did to Sasuke. Whatever problems the two had, it was their own problems. He did not give a damn thing about it. He had no intentions of getting back to Sasuke for trying to kill him. It was not worth the effort. Why did you bring me here? Naruto asked, wondering why the S-rank criminal had brought him to the hideout. Why did you leave Jiraiya and run off on your own? Itachi replied with a question of his own. I wanted to train. Naruto replied simply. Jiraiya is a Sannin. He could have given you the training you require. Itachi stated. Anyone would be thrilled to have the opportunity to be trained by one of the legendary three ninjas, the Sannins. However, Naruto ran away from Jiraiya, a Sannin. Most people do refer him as the strongest of the Sannins. It was interesting to hear why Naruto had left Jiraiya. Naruto shook his head. The only training I would have gotten if I stayed with Jiraiya was chakra control exercises, a few taijutsu lessons, and learning to control the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto stated. That sort of training only makes me to be reliant on the Kyuubi. Without the fox's chakra, I would be nothing. Itachi nodded. He knew too well. Shinobi with special abilities, in Naruto's case, the almost unlimited supply of chakra from the Kyuubi, tended to rely on their special abilities. Uchiha clan members had come to be reliant on their Dijutsu, that without it they would be nothing. They had even forgotten how to fight without their Dijutsu. Such a mentality was because the Uchiha believed that they were superior to other people, given that they wielded a Dijutsu powerful than others. True, their Dijutsu was indeed powerful, but that did not make them a powerful clan. Many strong shinobi had come up with ways to counterattack the abilities of the Sharingan, often rendering it useless in a battle. Naruto was a Jinchuriki if he relies too much on the Kyuubi, rather than his own strength. It would spell disaster. If he were to come across someone who was familiar with seals, they would just cut the flow of the Kyuubi's chakra to Naruto. That would make it impossible for him to use the chakra. Still, are you certain that is all he could have taught you? Naruto nodded. Jiraiya would not think twice to abandon me, just so he could go do his research. A few moments of silence passed by. Itachi broke the silence after thinking about something. I brought you here to offer you training, he revealed. Naruto's calm demeanor crumbled down within seconds of Itachi's words reaching him. Itachi was a criminal, someone who is a member of an organization that was after him. It was shocking to hear the Uchiha offering him training when a few weeks back he had been trying to capture him. Did I hear you correctly? Itachi only smiled slightly. Naruto's reaction to his offer was certainly amusing to see. The calmness that the blonde had been carrying just faltered with a few unexpected words. The kid still had a long way to go if a few simple words could make him lose his calmness. You are a member of the Akatsuki, the very organization that is after me for the Kyuubi. Just a few weeks ago, you tried to kidnap me with that shark, Naruto said, puzzled by the fact that Itachi was offering him training. Shark? Naruto was referring to Kisame. I'm no longer a member of the Akatsuki, Itachi revealed, shocking Naruto further. It is true that I did try to capture you, but that was when I was still a member of the organization, Itachi said, not finding any reason to hide the part truth. I find that hard to believe, Naruto said, banishing the shocked features in his face. However, I do know that you are not trying to capture me. If you wanted to, you would have done it already. Then moment I saw you. You are strong enough to knock me out in a blink of an eye. He paused for a moment. Your offer does make me curious though. Why would you offer me training? I no longer have attachments to your brother, and I am just a former target to you. You are rather smarter than you lead people to believe, Itachi commented after Naruto had spoken. Naruto just shrugged again. He did not have to explain why he appeared a bit smart when Konoha knew him as a glorified idiot. You are an interesting person with a kind heart. Despite how Konoha has treated you, you do not hate anyone or the village for it. You fight to protect it, even if it might cost you your life. You still do it, regardless of that the same village hates you, Itachi stated. Naruto raised a brow. You speak as someone who actually cares about Konoha. but yet you are responsible for the massacre of your own clan. Naruto said with a thoughtful look on his face. To be honest, with the previous encounter with you, and now, you do not seem like a psychotic killer to me as people portray you to be. However, appearances can be deceiving, Naruto said in a calm manner. If anything, Itachi seemed to be a rather peaceful person. Speaking from experience, Naruto knew what Itachi was referring to, but he just shrugged. He did not owe anyone an explanation, perhaps. A wise person does not believe everything he is told or hears, Itachi stated cryptically. As for my reasons for offering you training, I have informed you of them. You chose what you wish to believe, Itachi said, standing up. I will give you time to think about my offer. I will be gone and return in 5 days. When I do return, give me your answer, he stated, walking away. Without turning back, he spoke again. Everything you might need is within the hideout, he said, and disappeared, leaving Naruto with so much to think about. If Konoha found out he was in connection with a missing nin, he would certainly be in trouble. Itachi was a wanted man in Konoha. If anybody was to be aware of his whereabouts, they were to report it immediately to the Hokage. Here he was not even thinking about that. For the first time in his life, he brushed off what people would say about him. He brushed off what Konoha would think about him. He put himself first when making a decision that would benefit even Konoha. Jiraiya, the white-haired toad sage, was panicking. What scared him the most was what Tsunade would to do him when she does find out that Naruto was not with him. He was surely going to spend a month in the hospital with a broken body. Just the thought of it made him pale, with cold shivers dancing down his spine. He knew that no one had taken Naruto. Naruto had just left him. He failed to understand why he would leave. He was an awesome sensei, better than Kakashi. He did not understand why Naruto hated him like this. The fact that Naruto left meant that he did not care about him. If he did care for him, he would have never left, knowing that if Tsunade found out, she would kill him. Jiraiya was running across the fire country trying to find Naruto. He would certainly not go to Konoha and inform Tsunade of the latest development. He would search for the blonde first. What Tsunade did not know would not hurt her. He just had to keep away from Konoha until he found Naruto. He had connections all over the shinobi world. There was nowhere Naruto would go he would not be able to find him. It was just a matter of time. Given time, he would find him and make him pay for worrying him and risking his health. Naruto does not know much about the elemental nations and is too loud to keep hiding for a long time. I will find him soon enough, Jiraiya thought, hopping through trees. The Uchiha hideout. The days had passed and Itachi had returned. Naruto had made his decision on the first day. He had no other good option than the one Itachi was giving him. If there were to be consequences for his choice, he would gladly face them without fear or regret. The choice was his and he would live with his choice without regrets. Regrets did not change anything, they just make you miserable. Naruto would rather live with the consequences of his choice than being miserable for the rest of his life. When you make a choice, you had to stick by it regardless of the consequences. Once you start to question your choices, you begin to question your beliefs. Once that happens, you became lost. Naruto looked at Itachi without a smile on his face. The Uchiha was just staring at him impassively. So you have made your choice, Itachi stated. You knew I was going to accept your offer, Naruto said flatly. I have nowhere to go, and I do not know anyone I could go to and hide while I train. I just abandoned Jiraiya without knowing where to go. You knew that and gave me the perfect offer, knowing that I had no other choice, he said. It was obvious that Itachi had calculated that he would have nowhere to go if he refused his offer. There was also no one who would train him if he refused Itachi's offer. Itachi had just capitalized on the situation. How perceptive of you, Itachi, commented on how Naruto was able to see things. Perhaps I did, he said. I do find one thing rather curious though, Naruto stated. You say you are no longer a member of the Akatsuki, yet you still wear the Akatsuki cloak. I've grown fond of it, Itachi replied flatly. True, he had grown fond of it, but that was not the only reason he wore it. People feared the black cloak with red clouds, knowing that whoever was wearing it was an S-rank criminal. With that knowledge, people tended to avoid anyone who wore the cloak. The fact that people avoided the Akatsuki cloak influenced Itachi hold onto it. He rather enjoyed peace than needless bloodshed. If people saw the cloak, they would avoid picking a fight with him, leaving him alone to enjoy his peace. Why did you leave the Akatsuki? Naruto asked, wanting to know why Itachi would leave the home of S-rank criminals. You should not concern yourself with such things, Itachi replied. He did not intend to tell Naruto why he left the organization for now, that is. Naruto nodded. But that did not mean he had lost his curiosity. It just was not important at this time. When do we begin the training? We will begin tomorrow, you should rest, Itachi said, walking away from Naruto. It was not even night. Naruto wondered what kind of training he would have to go through. Naruto shrugged off his thoughts and went outside the hideout. Naruto went through hand seals and slammed his hands on the ground. Kuchingus no Jutsu. In a large puff of smoke, a colossal dull, dusty red toad appeared. Why have you called me Jiraiya? The giant toad grumbled. He certainly did not want to be used as Jiraiya's escape jutsu for when he was caught peeping. Jiraiya also had the nerve to summon him just so he could do his stupid pose with him. "Chief, it was me who summoned you," Naruto stated, sitting comfortably on top of the toad's head. The toad Naruto had summoned was the toad chief Gamabunta. "What is it, Gaki?" Gamabunta asked, looking around. "This does not look like a battlefield." "No, it doesn't," Naruto said. "Then why have you called me?" "I have a favor that I must request from you," Naruto said, his tone calm. Now Gamabunta came to notice the difference in Naruto's tone, which made him curious. He did not ask anything, nonetheless. "What favor?" "I was supposed to be on a training trip with Jiraiya for 3 years. However, I abandoned Jiraiya because he would no train me the way I want to be trained." Naruto paused for a moment. "Jiraiya will probably try to get you or any other toad to reverse summon me to Mount Mayaboku. Once he realizes that he could me that way, I want you to tell him you cannot reverse me." Gamabunta was quiet for a moment. "Was it really necessary for you to leave Jiraiya?" "Yes," Naruto replied flatly. "So will you do it?" "Gaki, you are asking me to lie to Jiraiya? That is something I cannot do, given that Jiraiya has been a very loyal summoner for many years." Gamabunta replied, "If you can't lie, then simply tell him you can't because I asked you to do it," Naruto stated. Gamabunta sighed. He really could not refuse the kid. "Fine," he said. "Are you sure it is safe without Jiraiya protecting you?" he asked, worried for the blonde. "Don't worry about me. I am in good hands," Naruto replied with a smile. "Summon Gamakichi regularly so that I can be able to see that you are well," Gamabunta said as he disappeared back to Mount Mayaboku. Naruto smiled. That was a problem solved. Jiraiya would have no way of tracking him now if the toads refused to help him. He could continue now without having to worry about Jiraiya finding him through the toads. He could not have the toads null his contract just so Jiraiya could not track him. The toad contract was important and valuable. He would be foolish to willingly have it cancelled. Itachi smiled not far away from Naruto. Naruto was doing well to cover his tracks. The fact that he had thought of having the toads refuse to reverse summon him if Jiraiya asked before Jiraiya had thought of it meant much about his thinking process. The following day, as early as the day had taken its shift, Itachi had already taken Naruto outside to a small training ground. Naruto had no complaints. He was not even sleeping when Itachi had come to wake him up. Sleep had eluded him all night. Itachi wanted to get Naruto started with the training as soon as possible. He had so much to train the blonde, and for him to teach Naruto everything he had to take time and use it wisely. He had time, but the shinobi world was unpredictable. Today you could say you have time, tomorrow you find you do not have it. Where the time went becomes a mystery. Itachi took time seriously. He did not take it for granted. He believed that time not used beneficially would surely be regretted in their near future. The skills you have as a ninja are the Kage Bunshin, Rasengan. The two are your most powerful techniques, Itachi stated, reminding of his ninjutsu arsenal. You have no defined taijutsu style, and you lack speed. Naruto was a brawler. He had no taijutsu style. He just fought as he could without taking a defined taijutsu style. Because he never trained in taijutsu, he lacked speed. Probably the only male genin who Naruto could beat in speed was Shikamaru and maybe Choji. Before I begin to teach you anything, you must have Jounin level chakra control. Your body must be conditioned physically. You must also know your chakra affinity. He paused for a moment before continuing. With Jounin level chakra control, you will be able to learn ninjutsu without too much difficulty. When your body is conditioned physically, I will be able to teach you taijutsu and kenjutsu. Naruto nodded with a small smile. Itachi seemed to have put a thought to his training. If he was with Jiraiya, the pervert would have just taken him somewhere and dumped him to do something while he went away to peep. The fact that Itachi seemed to be taking the training seriously brought him to smile. What do we begin with? Naruto asked. His voice was dripping with a bit of excitement, betraying the calm look on his face. Before we begin, Itachi said, do you know the secret of the shadow clone technique? Itachi asked curiously. He doubted Naruto knew of it though, despite how smart he seemed to be. Secret? Naruto asked with a raised brow. Itachi sighed inwardly. He wondered what Jiraiya and Kakashi were teaching Naruto, and if they ever wanted him to become strong. With Naruto unaware of the secret of the shadow clones, it was hard to say that they wanted him to become strong. If they wanted him to become strong, they could have told him the secret. Naruto could have achieved so much with the shadow clones. He was truly disappointed in both Jiraiya and Kakashi for willingly keeping this kind of information to Naruto. It appears that Kakashi, Jiraiya nor the Sandaime for that matter, saw it as something of significance to tell you this, Itachi stated. Even the Sandaime knew Naruto was able to use the shadow clone jutsu, and yet he did not tell him of the secret. The shadow clone jutsu has a unique ability that allows the clones to transfer the memories and experiences they gain back to the user when they disperse. Itachi revealed the secret to Naruto. I have never noticed that despite the fact that I always use the jutsu, Naruto said with a thoughtful expression. I wonder why Jiraiya and Kakashi never told me of it though. He thought aloud but shrugged off his thoughts. They did not tell him because they had their own reasons. He did not have to wonder about their reasons where it was not worth the effort. As you might have concluded, the shadow clone can be a very useful tool when used for training. You can be able to achieve a year's worth of training within a week by using shadow clones. Not everyone can survive that kind of training, Itachi stated. How many clones can you make? About 2,000, Naruto replied nonchalantly as if it was nothing astounding. Itachi raised a single brow. Can you still fight after making that many clones? Yes, I summoned 2,000 when I was fighting Gaara, and was able to summon the Toad Chief even after summoning the clones. Naruto replied, I have heard Kakashi say that some people can die due to chakra exhaustion if they create more than 10 clones. I can create 2,000 and not even feel the effects of creating the clones. That must mean I have large amounts of chakra reserves. Naruto concluded more to himself than to Itachi. Another brow rose when Itachi heard Naruto say he created 2,000 clones, and after that, he summoned the Toad Chief. That was more chakra than he imagined Naruto had. Naruto was still just a 13-year-old boy, and had the chakra reserves of more than a cage. It would be frightening to see the kind of chakra he would have when he had matured and at his prime. That is still not counting the chakra of the Kyuubi. With that much chakra, Naruto had the potential to become one of the strongest, if not the strongest shinobi in the world. With Naruto's chakra alone, it should have made someone like Jiraiya take more interest in training him. However, Jiraiya disregarded all the chakra Naruto had, and went straight for the Kyuubi's chakra. If Naruto could learn to control his chakra well, he would have no need for the Kyuubi's chakra. This will make your training progress faster than I had imagined, Itachi said after a few moments of silence. Do you know what your chakra affinity is? Naruto shook his head. He knew of different wind elements, but he never tried to find what his element was. Itachi took out a piece of paper from his cloak, making Naruto raise a brow. He did not think that the cloak had pockets in the inside. Itachi handed the piece of paper to Naruto. Channel your chakra into the paper, he said. If it crumbles into dust, your element is earth. If it burns, your element is fire. It becomes wet, your element is water. If it shocks you, your element is lightning. If it is shredded into pieces, your element is wind. Naruto did as instructed. Wind, he stated. Wind was powerful, but rare to find. Wind chakra was also hard to control, given how powerful it was. However, when one had master control over wind manipulation, they could become dangerous opponents for someone to face. Within a month you can be done with chakra control exercises, Itachi said, and then took out a scroll from his cloak. He threw the scroll at Naruto, who caught it. That is a storage seal. It has beginner's books in Fuinjutsu. I want you to create 5 clones and have them study the books. You will continue to do that each day until you understand everything. Naruto nodded and created 5 clones. The clones knew exactly what their job was. Naruto handed them the scroll, and they went away to begin studying the books. He did not need to question why Itachi wanted him to learn something complex as Fuinjutsu. Sealing was indeed useful. With his little time with Jiraiya, he understood that the man was adept to using seals. They were indeed useful and powerful. The Kyuubi was locked within him because of the art. Orochimaru had used a seal to cut the flow of the Kyuubi's chakra within him during the fight at the Forest of Death. Itachi created a clone of himself. Create 100 clones. Naruto created the clones without questions. Follow me, the clone Itachi said as it walked away. The clones Naruto created followed him. Where are they going? Naruto asked curiously. This hideout is not far from the Valley of the End, Itachi stated. They are going there to train in water walking for chakra and wind manipulation at the waterfall. Isn't the Valley of the End a place they could be easily spotted by someone? Naruto asked. The valley was not by any means hidden, unlike the hideout. Anyone could reach the place. If Naruto was training there, someone passing by the valley could easily see him. It is, but I have taken measures that will ensure something like that does not happen, Itachi replied flatly. Naruto felt no need to question what sort of measures Itachi had taken, thus he just nodded. Itachi walked away from Naruto and went inside the hideout. While some of Naruto's clones studied Fuinjutsu, the others practiced water walking and the others were to practice wind chakra manipulation by attempting to cut the waterfall with chakra. Naruto would be doing physical activity, which he would continue to do until his training was complete. Itachi came back to the small training ground holding weights. Naruto had to wear them on his ankles and hands. They would help him develop speed and pure physical strength. Itachi handed the weights to Naruto, put them on. Naruto did as instructed, but found it rather hard to stand straight due to the extra weight that he carried. How much weight am I carrying? Each weight weighs at 5 kilograms. That makes it 20 kilograms in total, Itachi replied. Now run around the training ground. It does not matter how many times you run. I just want you to get used to having the extra weight on your body. Naruto began to jog as he could run with the weights on. Itachi was certain that because Naruto was a Jinchuriki, his body would be able to adapt fast to the weights. Any damaged muscles would be healed overnight given the Kyuubi's chakra healed. For each day, Naruto did the same process, running around the training ground while his clones studied Fuinjutsu, did water walking exercises and train in wind manipulation. As soon as Naruto was able to walk without much trouble with the weights, Itachi increased the weight Naruto had to carry. Naruto never complained. To become strong, he had to endure everything. 6 months later, a bundle of shurikens went flying at fast speeds towards Naruto. He looked at the shurikens, calculating their movements and speed. The shurikens' numbers tripled out of nowhere. Naruto cursed as a shower of shurikens flew towards at him. He jumped back to avoid the first wave of the shurikens. More came at him. Naruto disappeared from his position in a burst of speed, avoiding the shurikens. As soon as he touched ground, another wave of shurikens sped in flight towards him. Naruto did quick thinking and used a seal-less replacement technique, replacing with a tree log. The shurikens pierced the log in place of Naruto. Naruto let loose of a sigh of relief upon having the log save him from pain. Without warning, 2 more shurikens came behind Naruto and embedded themselves on his back. Naruto winced at the pain and forced the shurikens out of his body. Fire style. Great fireball. Naruto heard from behind. A small fireball sped towards him. Naruto was quick to dodge the fireball in a burst of newfound speed. The moment he touched ground, a foot crashed onto his back, sending him flying away. Naruto recovered by flipping in midair. He landed down in a crouched position, panting slightly. Itachi landed down beside him with an impassive look on his face. Your opponent will never give you time to recover your energy, he stated, and moved fast. He kicked Naruto to his chest, sending him flying. Naruto winced as Itachi's foot crashed to his chest. Itachi appeared from behind Naruto while he was still in flight. Your senses must be on high alert each time you in a battle. You must be able to see what your eyes can't, he stated, and pummeled Naruto to the ground. Naruto crashed to the ground on his front. He recovered quickly and stood up. He took a taijutsu similar to the Uchiha interceptor style. If he did not do that, more assaults from Itachi would follow. It was always like this training with Itachi. Each day he had to leave the training ground with a pained and beaten body. Itachi never took it easy with him. To Itachi, there was no easy way of learning that engaging in actual battle. It was a real fight, as Itachi would break his bones if he gave him the chance to. Naruto was not allowed to take of his weights that now weighed at 150 kilograms. He had 50 kilograms on each ankle and 25 kilograms on both his hands. That is it for day, Naruto-kun, Itachi stated. Naruto sighed and sat down on the ground. The Kyuubi had already dealt with the wound on his back. He was no longer in pain. He was just a little out of breath. At the other side of the hideout, hundreds of clones were busy with their own training. Since Naruto attained chakra control and wind chakra manipulation that was satisfactory to Itachi, some of his clones were learning wind jutsus. Their progress was steady, which was enough for Naruto. Itachi never allowed him to use any of the jutsus he had been learning when they fought. Itachi had taught Naruto a taijutsu similar to the Uchiha interceptor style. The style focused on predicting your opponent's attacks and counter-attacking. To be able to be proficient with the style, one had to be fast and alert. You could not predict your opponent's attacks and think of a way to counter-attack if you were slow. Naruto had changed a few things for the style to work for him. It was hard for him to get a grasp of the style, since he did not have the Sharingan to predict his opponent's attacks. Itachi had told Naruto to expand his senses and awareness to be able to predict his opponent's attacks. He also had to be very observant of the way his opponent fought. To expand his senses, Naruto had to do a lot of meditating. His Fuinjutsu was going well. He was no longer studying books beginners. He was now able to create his own seals, less complex seals though. The only seals he had been able to create were explosive tags and storage seals. Itachi had also let Naruto read a scroll on a few Kenjutsu styles. Naruto decided not to learn any Kenjutsu style. He decided to study the art of Kenjutsu itself. He wanted to learn the relationship between a wielder of a sword and a sword. He found that a true Kenjutsu fighter treated a blade as an extension to his body. The blade became something as his or her third hand. Whatever the sword felt, he or she had to feel it too. One had to be coordinated with the sword. Overall, a Kenjutsu fighter shared a very intimate relationship with his or her sword. Naruto, I am going away for a while, Itachi stated. While I am gone, only create clones to study Fuinjutsu. You will be practicing the jutsus your clones have been learning in Kenjutsu. Do not leave the hideout. Stay here until I return, he instructed Naruto in a serious tone, emphasizing the seriousness of his words. Hi, Naruto replied. With only 6 months Naruto has spent with the S-rank criminal, Naruto had learned a few things about Itachi. He was an honest person and peaceful, smart and easily bored with unintelligent conversation. The fact that Naruto saw Itachi in that light brought him to see Itachi as someone that was not a criminal. In fact, Naruto now respected Itachi. Despite being the mentor of massacred the Uchiha clan, Itachi was a positive influence to Naruto. Most of all, Naruto trusted Itachi. His trust in Itachi was the reason he was not even asking where he was going. With Naruto's acknowledgement to his words, Itachi walked away. He trusted Naruto to follow his instructions. 3 weeks later, Naruto lay in the middle of the small training ground, clothes tattered, several sword wounds around his body. His breathing was labored, and eyes were unfocused due to the sheer pain and tiredness he felt. His chest was left bare due to the cuts his upper clothing received. Several streams of blood matched across his chest down the ground. Several shurikens and a sword lay beside him. The tip of the sword had blood, signifying it had been tasting blood. It had been one of his training sessions. Ever since Itachi departed from the hideout, he had taken the time to practice Kenjutsu. So far, the results had been satisfactory. It was not perfect, it was anything but that. The progress was satisfying nonetheless. He could handle a sword well, better than he did when he had yet to practice Kenjutsu. His Kenjutsu had its flaws though, but he could correct the flaws to his Kenjutsu with the time he still had before he had to return to Konoha. With the shadow clones by his side, by the end of his training, he would be proficient if he kept training as much as he had been during Itachi's absence. The first thing he had to work on with his Kenjutsu was the openings his style left. If he encountered someone that was faster than him, his Kenjutsu would leave him like an open book. Anyone faster than him would be able to take advantage of the openings his Kenjutsu left. Itachi walked slowly towards the training ground. He saw Naruto's bloodied body. A smile crept into his face, as what he was seeing was just the results of how his student was training in his absence. The smile quickly disappeared when Naruto shifted his head upon sensing Itachi. Naruto positioned himself to look at Itachi perfectly. He was glad to see that Itachi had returned, not that he would ever admit it to Itachi. "I see you have been training well," Itachi commented with an expressionless face. Whether he was pleased or not, one that did not know him better could not tell. "Get cleaned up. I want to tell you something," Itachi said as he showed Naruto his back and went back to the house. Naruto sighed tiredly and stood up. The Kyuubi had already begun its job of healing him. It was as if Naruto had his own medical nin living inside his own body. The Kyuubi always healed him of his injuries. He could never have a scar caused by wounds. His flesh always returned to what it had been each time the Kyuubi finished healing his body. Sometimes Naruto pitied the fox because it always worked overtime in healing him. Each night his body had to be healed of its injuries. He had to be recovering his chakra. The Kyuubi was responsible for that to happen quickly. Naruto's feet carried him to the house lazily. He went inside and took a long calming bath. His body had to relax and be calm after the strain he had put it under by his training. A hot bath was always soothing to his body. After the bath, Naruto changed his clothes. Ever since he began his training, he had discarded his orange jumpsuit. He now wore dark blue shorts and a short-sleeved blue shirt. Naruto walked to the sitting room and found Itachi sitting comfortably drinking tea. Looking at him drinking tea in peace, one could never think he was the man who killed his own family and was a feared S-rank criminal. He was man whose name brought fear to those who knew of his power. Some people say that he massacred his own clan just to test his own strength. Some people have said that he had gone insane because of power. Yet there he was sitting comfortably drinking tea with an aura of peace radiating around him. Naruto eyes trained at the small backpack on the table for a moment before going back to Itachi. He sat on the table across Itachi. After a few minutes of silence, Itachi placed his mug down and looked at Naruto. "When I departed here, I went to Konoha," Itachi stated. Naruto's face was expressionless just as Itachi's was. There was another thing that Itachi was teaching Naruto while they were not at the training ground. Control over his emotions. Naruto was getting the hang of it. But he was not like Itachi when it came to hiding emotions. Itachi was a master at doing something like that. You could tell him the most shocking thing and never get a reaction from him. Control over emotions was a shinobi's weapon. Without control over emotions, one was bound to careless mistakes. Emotions often clouded shinobi from making best decisions, which ended costing them. Naruto nodded and waited for Itachi to continue. "I had gone to fetch a few things that are inside this bag," Itachi stated, his eyes pointing at the small bag in the middle of the table. "What?" Naruto asked curiously. It must have been important for Itachi to risk going to Konoha when the very same village was hunting him. Had he been caught whilst inside the village, he could have been executed. Most villagers saw him as a trader partnered with Orochimaru and Konoha's most powerful traders. Before that, he paused for a moment. "I told you that I have something that I must tell you," Itachi said. He was sure telling Naruto what he wanted to say was the right choice. "It is something important that the Sandaime and Jiraiya neglected to tell you," he stated impassive, not showing that what he wanted to tell Naruto was as important as he said. Naruto was now truly curious. Itachi never said something was important unless it was important. There was also the fact that he said that he wanted to tell him something that the Sandaime Hokage and Jiraiya failed to tell him. "It is about your parents. I am not sure why the Sandaime chose not to tell you about them," Itachi stated calmly. Now, he had Naruto's full attention. It took all his willpower to force himself to calm down. He just wanted to jump on Itachi and beg him to tell him about his parents. This was something that he had always had the need to know, but unfortunately, no one seemed to be willing to tell him anything. He knew that the Sandaime knew something, but just refused to tell him. "Do you know of the Uzumaki clan?" Itachi asked. Naruto shook his head. "The Uzumaki clan, a clan that you are part of, were allies of Konoha years ago. The orange swirl you see in Konoha's Jounin flags is the Uzumaki clan swirl. It was a sign of respect to the friendship that was between the Uzumaki clan and Konoha, to be more precise, the Senju," Itachi stated in a calm manner. Naruto was a little surprised that he belonged to a clan. He did not know that Uzumaki was a clan name. He had always thought it was just a name like any other, given that he was the only one within Konoha who uses the name. Even outside the village, he had never met anyone who used Uzumaki. No one even spoke of the Uzumaki clan. It was like the clan never existed, which was why Naruto was not aware of it. The Senju and Uzumaki were relatives, though neither has confirmed this. The Uzumaki clan lived in their village, called the Land of Whirlpools, located at an island at the coast of the Fire Country. They were seal masters and the first to create seals that could seal a Biju within a human. That would explain why Itachi had Naruto learn Fuinjutsu. Mastery with seals was not the only thing that the Uzumaki clan had. They possessed extraordinary lifespans and special chakra. Because of this, other villagers feared their power. During the Second Great Shinobi War, the village was destroyed by the combined effort of Iwagika and Kumogaka, leaving only a few alive. Itachi revealed while his eyes stayed on Naruto. Naruto had many thoughts going through his head. It was rather hard to believe that his clan was destroyed only because of its power. There were many powerful clans, but neither has been destroyed because of their power. He understood that with seals, the impossible was possible. But to destroy a village, just because they could make the impossible happen, was unimaginable. Humans, Naruto said, they envy what is better than they are, fear what is powerful than them, and hate that they do not understand and what is different from them. Desire everything that is likable to their eyes, such greedy beings. Naruto commented empathically. Itachi nodded. That is indeed true. Greed has led the shinobi world to what it is today. Itachi stated, agreeing with Naruto. Your mother was from the Uzumaki clan. She came into the village at a young age. Her name was Uzumaki Kushina. A smile crept into Naruto's impassive face. Something in his heart was stirred by knowing the name of his mother. He always had a desire to know something about her. It felt great, as if something missing to his heart was found and added. He had already accepted the fact that she may have been dead. Itachi confirmed it. It saddened him slightly, but he was nonetheless happy that he knew her name. When your mother was brought to the village, she was brought for one thing, Itachi said. Naruto felt a sense of dread creeping inside of him. It was to be the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Naruto's eyes widened, losing his calm demeanor. He shared the same burden as his mother. He feared if she had to live the same life as him, overbearing hatred from the villagers. Nevertheless, the fact that his mother was the previous Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi made him feel a lot closer to her. I have never heard of anyone speaking of a previous Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi before me, and there is not Kushina Uzumaki at the memorial stones. Naruto stated his confusion after getting over his shock. Your mother's status as a Jinchuriki was kept a secret that was known only to a select few. Her name is not engraved at the memorial stones. Any records of her were removed from the library and everywhere else public. The only place you can find anything about her is at the Anbu headquarters, Itachi replied. He had been an Anbu captain during his time at Konoha. Such information was accessible to his eyes. There was another Jinchuriki before her, but that has also been removed from any records. The first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi was the Shondaime's wife, Mito Uzumaki. Your mother was the second, and you are the third. Again, Naruto's eyes widened slightly. The Shondaime's wife was from his clan. Tsunade was the granddaughter of the Shondaime, which meant Mito Uzumaki was her grandfather. Tsunade, Jiraiya and the Sandaime, these were people that knew of his mother, and yet refused him the right to know. Such an act was unforgivable. No one had the right, no one, to deny him of his right to know just even the name of his mother. Regardless of their reasons, such a decision to keep the name of his mother away from him was unthinkable. He could not understand how any human would do something like that. I still do not know how the Kyuubi was released from her. However, many say that a Sharingan was manipulating the Kyuubi. Regardless, the day your mother died was the day you were born, the day the Kyuubi attacked Konoha, Itachi stated. The Kyuubi had escaped from Naruto's mother's seal the day the Kyuubi went on a rampage. The Kyuubi was sealed into Naruto that day. His mother had died the day he was born. After 9 months of carrying him, she never got the chance to breastfeed him, the chance to hear his first words. It must have been heartbreaking for any mother to die the day her child was born. His life was indeed cursed. His mother died the day he was born. The Kyuubi was sealed in him the day he was born. After that, he was cursed to endure loneliness, hatred and pain all his childhood. And as for your father, Itachi said, snapping Naruto out of his thoughts. You know him very well. Everybody in Konoha and outside of Konoha knows him, Minato Namikaze. the Yondaime Hokage. Time stopped moving as it allowed Naruto to dwell on his thoughts. The world gave him a free space to think. Naruto became lost in his own thoughts. His father was the Yondaime Hokage. He had thought he was related to the man due to his similarities to the dead Hokage. However, he had nothing to prove it, and now Itachi had just proved. The Yondaime Hokage, a man he admired and always thought to surpass, was his father. His own father was responsible for sealing the Kyuubi inside of him. His own father had cursed him to live a life of shouldering hatred from the villagers. While he went to die, the villagers praised his father while they cursed him. Jiraiya, Tsunade and the Sandaime, they knew of this, and yet did not tell him. The Sandaime had known this, and yet put him into the orphanage. Kakashi also had to know, since it was common knowledge that he was the Yondaime's prized student. He could not fault him, given that it would not have been his place to tell. He also could not fault Tsunade, since she only returned to the village a short while ago. However, the Sandaime, the old, had looked him at his eyes and told him he knew nothing of his parents. Jiraiya was the Yondaime's sensei. He knew of this before he even came to his life, yet he never bothered to fill in the holes inside of his heart. He just allowed him to continue living with his heart, missing a few pieces that completed it. Now, he knew why Jiraiya had even bothered to have him sign the Toad contract. Take his time to train him. It was now obvious Naruto was the carbon copy of the Yondaime Hokage. Jiraiya had to be reminded of his former student each time he saw Naruto. Anger, unbearable anger raged within Naruto. Anger that his own father was responsible for the miseries he had to endure, angry that the people he trusted the most lied to him all his life. He could almost see them laughing at him while he cried for his parents. They knew who they were, and yet they just laughed at him, telling him that they did not know. It brought so much anger within him, so much anger that the atmosphere in the room became suffocating. Red bubbling chakra surrounded Naruto's entire body. Naruto, Itachi called out, seeing the Kyuubi's chakra leaking out. If he did not calm Naruto, things might turn out nasty. Should Naruto leak too much chakra of the Kyuubi? Naruto did not respond. He was too absorbed by his thoughts to hear Itachi. Naruto, Itachi called again, raising his voice slightly. It took a few moments for Naruto to register Itachi's words. He calmed down upon noting the temperature in the room and the Kyuubi's chakra leaking out. His calming down forced the Kyuubi's chakra to recede back to the seal where it belonged. Naruto stared at Itachi for a moment before his eyes went to the ceiling. I managed to collect a few photos from your father's house. I took the liberty of taking scrolls with notes on jutsus that made your father famous. I believe that they are yours to learn, and no one has the right to deny you that. Itachi stated, eyes boring into Naruto. Everything I took is inside this bag, he said, pointing at the bag on the table. Naruto's eyes shifted from the ceiling to the bag, and then settled onto Itachi. Why did you tell me this, when the Sandaime or Jiraiya chose not to? For you to choose the correct path for your life, and to become truly strong, you must know who you are. Telling this allows you to locate your roots. This in turn will help you become truly strong, knowing where you came from, what you were born to become. Itachi replied, getting from his seat. I will leave you to your thoughts. After that, we will resume your training while you know what you are training for, he said, and turned around, walking away from the blonde. Naruto just stared at the retrieving form of Itachi, with many thoughts dancing within his head. As soon as Itachi disappeared from his sight and senses, he looked at the small bag on the table. Slowly, he took the bag and carried it to his room, intent on exploring all its content. A few days passed. Seemingly time was flowing faster than it normally did, as if in a hurry for something. Naruto had gone back and forth with his thoughts. A few sleepless nights as his mind refused to hone what he had been told. Like everything else in life, the sleepless nights passed and he returned to sleeping peacefully at night. His mind was able to accommodate the new knowledge he had learned. Regardless of how painful and how much it angered him, he accepted it. Holding a grudge had never been his strength. Still, even though he could not hold hatred for those who wronged him willingly, it did not mean he was pleased with their actions. He was far from that, in all honesty. Nevertheless, for him to move on with his life, he could not hold on to the past. Things were done, choices were made that affected him. He has been living so far with those choices, and he would continue to live on with them. Even now that he had realized just how deep the secrets that were hidden from him, he could not allow that to stop him from living. He had endured so much in his young life to be stopped by something as his revealed parentage. His father was dead, the Sandaime was dead, only a screwed up person inside the head could hold a grudge against the dead. Not that he could actually hate his father even though he was alive. Hating him was beyond him. People who hold grudges against the dead are those that run about to curse the graves of the dead as if the rotten bones could hear them. Regardless, he did not have to like their choices because they were dead. He just had to accept it because there was nothing that he could do to possibly change what has happened. What had happened happened. He just had to find a way to live with the burden that he was left to shoulder on his own. His father left the burden for him to carry, and he would carry it. He could not dump it on someone. Uzumaki Naruto, or rather Namikaze Naruto, stared a picture of a red-haired woman with blue eyes. His face was formed as his. Even though he held the picture within his hand, the image itself was already plastered across his mind. He admired her, even though he will never hear her voice as long as he lived in this world. She was his mother, a woman who carried the Kyuubi within her gut just as he does now. Kushina Uzumaki Naruto sighed and laid the image beside him. Even though it was just memory, something of the past, it still held great value within his heart. Nothing could be more valuable than the image of his mother. He did not need to see the face of the Yondaime, his father, in a picture. All he had to do was look in the mirror, and he would see a Chibi Minato. Jiraiya had always said that he reminded him of his former student. Even he could not doubt the uncanny resemblance he shared with his father. He had done through all the stuff Itachi had brought for him. There were pictures of his mother and father, notes in Fuinjutsu, and the formula of the Flying Thunder God technique, and some notes in completing the Rasengan. With another sigh escaping his lips, Naruto got up from the bed slowly and made his way to the kitchen. It was just past noon. During this time, Itachi was surely drinking his tea. Each day on a set time, Itachi always had his tea. Naruto was not disappointed when he walked into the kitchen and saw the said Uchiha. Itachi shifted his eyes from the hot black liquid inside a mug to the form of Naruto. He had let the blonde do his own thinking and come to his own conclusions. He felt that it was necessary for Naruto to think on his own and make a choice of his own instead of manipulating him into thinking what he wanted him to think. It would not have helped anyone if he did something like that. He had already manipulated Sasuke into hating him, while he making it ambition to kill him, and where was Sasuke now? Naruto took a sat down across the table. He never did like drinking tea. That was Itachi's thing. Nevertheless, that did not mean that because he did not enjoy it as much as Itachi, he did not drink it. A few moments of silence passed. Naruto just wandered across the elemental nations with his thoughts, while Itachi sipped his tea. "Have you thought through everything?" Itachi asked, placing his now empty mug on the table. Naruto replied with a small nod. "Yes, I have," his voice taking a flat tone. "And?" Itachi asked with an impassive face as if he was not interested in his own question. "I am not pleased with the fact that the Sandaime had lied to me, and Jiraiya hid it from me. Tsunade also knew of this, and yet relented to tell me. However, I cannot blame Tsunade since she only returned to the village." Naruto replied nonchalantly. His mindset had changed in a way that he no longer had it in him to call Tsunade Bachan. "Your father?" Itachi asked again. He cared less for what Naruto thought of Tsunade and Jiraiya. What interested him were Naruto's thoughts towards his father. Naruto adopted a thoughtful look for a second. It quickly disappeared upon its appearance. Naruto's face just became blank. Itachi could not really tell what he was thinking. "I am not happy with what he did to me. If sacrificing his life was not enough, he also sacrificed me for the sake of the village," he said flatly. "Regardless of that, he was my father, and I his son. I cannot change that. He did what he did as Hokage of Konoha. I can live with that. It's a little sad that he chose the village first over me." Itachi could not conclude whether he was mad or not. The tone of his voice was blank. No hint of anger of any emotion dripped from it. Added with the fact that he could not guess what was going on within the blonde's head, Itachi decided to go with the thought that Naruto did not like that his father chose to use him as the Kyuubi's container, but understood that he had no choice, given that he was the Yondaime Hokage. It was duty to protect the village, even if it meant making his only son a Jinchuriki. "Do you hate him?" Itachi asked. Naruto shook his head blankly. "I don't like his choice to stick the Kyuubi inside me. He cursed me to live the life I have lived within Konoha." Naruto stated, "Regardless of that, he is my father, and I just don't have the capacity to hate anyone, especially my own father. I do understand his position given that he was the Hokage, and had a duty to protect the village, so I bear no thanks for him," he said, looking straight at Itachi. "Your father wanted you to be seen as a hero. That was why the Sandaime publicly revealed your status as a Jinchuriki. He believed that the village he died protecting would treat his son as a hero," Itachi said after a few moments of silence. "And that turned out very well. Konoha saw Uzumaki Naruto as the hero who jailed the Kyuubi, saving them from being destroyed," Naruto said sarcastically. Though being sarcastic, his demeanor never changed. It stayed as it had been, blank. "Your father was a great man," Naruto, Itachi said, ignoring the sarcasm. "He desired peace. It was just unfortunate that he had to die soon and being so young. Nevertheless, he died a noble death." Naruto looked at Itachi with a slightly raised brow. "Peace?" Itachi nodded. "In your short life you have yet to see what the shinobi world is like. But you have seen some despicable things given that you are a shinobi," Itachi replied, keeping his calm demeanor. "You have yet to see war and what follows after it. Konoha, for example, is enjoying temporary peace. The village has no qualms with others, and the villagers live happily with one another. However, in your case, I doubt you have seen that since you have always had to endure hatred from the villagers." Itachi said and paused. The shinobi world is full of unnecessary bloodshed. People lose their lives each day. Women and children are raped, sold to forced labor and sex workers. Villagers fight each other for power, dominance, and just because of greed. Itachi paused, allowing Naruto process every word he had said. Your father wanted to change that. He wanted the shinobi world to be free of that, free of war. He wanted a world where the nations were united in agreement with one another. He wanted a world where brothers did not betray each other. He wanted peace. Naruto's blank expression was replaced by a thoughtful look. He never seen the world in a way Itachi saw it. However, he had seen some of things that were truly despicable. His father did have a noble cause. A world where villagers could be in agreement with one another was certainly a world worth dreaming. He liked that sound of it. Peace, huh? Naruto said. I have never thought of something like it. I used to dream of being Hokage just so I could gain the acknowledgement of the villagers to prove my existence. He concluded with his thoughtful look still firmly in place. The Shodaime tried to bring peace during his time. Unfortunately, he failed despite all his power and humbleness. The Sandaime was next to try, but even he could not do it, Itachi stated. Nobody now tries to bring peace to the world today. Long-lasting peace is seen as something impossible to achieve. If we cannot trust each other, even steps to peace cannot be taken. Tsunagake easily betrayed Konoha despite being an ally to the village. Naruto said, if villagers can easily betray each other, and have no trust with each, they can never be in agreement with one another. Itachi nodded. Trust is something hard to gain, but rather easy to lose. Silence greeted the two, as both were speaking amongst themselves within their thoughts. Naruto was thinking about something: bloodshed. The life of shinobi was ultimately to kill all the enemies of his or her villages. That made shinobi killers, life takers. He had seen some people take other people's lives without so much as remorse. He did not get why death was necessary, even if the enemy was beaten. What are your views on killing? Naruto asked. He found it ironic that he was asking the question to a man who was responsible for the massacre of the Uchiha. Deaths are necessary sometimes. It is unfortunate, but often it has to be done to protect and save the lives of many. Itachi replied. Still, I think killing someone is wrong. Naruto argued. You have yet to kill, have you? Itachi asked, earning a nod from Naruto. You are a shinobi, you are bound to take the life of someone one day. Nevertheless, just because we kill does not make us monsters. We show that we are still humans by not enjoying the act of killing. A true shinobi accepts that killing is part of protecting, but never enjoys killing. Naruto decided not to take the conversation any further than it was already. He certainly did not like the fact he would have to kill someone one day. He just hoped that day never comes. Itachi saw that Naruto did not want to further with the topic. Did you find the scrolls I brought useful? He asked, changing the subject. Naruto nodded. Yes, some scrolls with Fuinjutsu will help me reach a depth level of understanding of the art. Naruto said. What I found most interesting was my father's notes in completing the Rasengan and the formula of the Flying Thunder God technique. Before the day ages, my clones should be out there beginning working on completing the Rasengan and deciphering the formula to the Hiraishin. Naruto stated with a small smile. Itachi could tell he was excited by the prospect of learning the Hiraishin. How do you complete the Rasengan? I thought it was a complete jutsu. You did not read the scrolls? Naruto asked with a slightly raised brow. Itachi shook his head in response. Well, the Rasengan is made from pure chakra. You manipulate chakra alone to form it, but to complete it, you add your chakra element to it, and it will take a new form. In my case, wind element, and I will be able to create a powerful jutsu. Well, that is according to my father's notes. He was never able to complete it. Itachi nodded. He was interested in what jutsu Naruto would be able to create after successfully adding his wind element to the Rasengan. The Rasengan was already an A-ranked jutsu. Adding a powerful element as wind would certainly make it even more powerful. When are you going to continue with my training? Naruto asked. Learning the Hiraishin and trying to complete the Rasengan was something he would be adding to the training Itachi was already giving him. Itachi stood up from his seat. Let us go now, he said. Naruto had no complaints. He followed Itachi to their small training ground. He was eager to pick up from where he left off. He had not trained with Itachi for a month now. Naruto went through another training session that ended with body echoing with unbearable pain. Yet he made no complaints, for he knew that after the training, it would have been worth it. There was no pain without a reward. He would get his rewards after the training. Konoha, it had been 2 years since Naruto left the village. It had been 2 years since Jiraiya had been looking for Naruto after the blonde had abandoned him. For 2 years, he searched all over the elemental nations, and yet he found no clue as to where the blonde was. He found nothing. No one had even seen the blonde. It was as if he had just vanished from the face of the elemental nations. Naruto had disappeared without leaving a trace. What Jiraiya was certain of was that he never left the borders of the Fire Country. If he did, regardless of how good he might be at covering his tracks, he would have known. He was positive that the blonde was still in the Fire Country. Where was the question? The Fire Country was rather large. and he could not search the entire country looking for a single person. With a sigh, Jiraiya looked at the Hokage's tower from the Hokage monument. He had returned to the village to face Tsunade's wrath. Over the past 2 years, he had lost all connections with Tsunade as he searched for Naruto. He could not lie to her, thus he decided it was better to avoid speaking to her. Even if one of her messages got to him, he never replied. He raised his right hand, which was holding a bottle of sake. He began to take a few gulps of the sake until the bottle was empty. He put on a brave face and wiped off his mouth ready to face Tsunade. Hokage's office. Tsunade sat behind her desk doing her paperwork. She detested doing the paperwork, but it was duty to complete them, thus she was left with no choice but to do it. The paperwork was something of an everyday occurrence. She had to do it every day, and each day she would get a headache because of the load. The load never ended. Just when she would think that she was done, Shizune would bring another load, much to her dismay. Tsunade sighed and leaned back to her chair. Ever since Naruto left the village, she had stopped consuming alcohol. She did get much work done without having to spend her time drinking. Despite that, she did miss her sake. Surely, now she would have been savoring a cup of sake, with no one in her face to disturb her. Back when she was still drinking, Shizune would always budge into her office, stopping her from drinking. It always annoyed her, but she understood that her apprentice wanted her to get some work done. Thinking of Naruto, she did miss him. She missed seeing him budging into her office, calling her Bar-chan, demanding for a mission. She missed every little annoying thing about him, even the fact he would always try to run away whenever she wanted to check his physical health, as he hated hospitals. She missed having to have Shizune and Sakura chase him around the village to get him back to the hospital. It was now 2 years. 2 whole years without seeing the large smile that always found a way to Naruto's face. She just hoped that he had changed and went back to normal, and did not stay as he was when he left the village. It would pain her to see him in that condition he was again. Naruto to her was not Naruto without a goofy fox grin and eyes that brightened with life and happiness. She also hoped that Jiraiya was training him to his best. She wanted her Naruto to be strong when he does return to the village. She wanted him to have the strength of at least a Jounin. She could expect that much from 3 years of training. Being a Jounin, he could protect himself better. Even though he might be able to protect himself if he does return strong as a Jounin, Tsunade would never stop worrying about him. With him being a Jounin meant that Naruto would have to do heavy missions. As such, he would see things that he did not see. Jiraiya had yet to give her any progress report, something that was odd from the Sannin. Under normal circumstances, Jiraiya would have been sending her progress reports once every 2 or 3 months. Ever since he left, he had yet to send her any report, not even tell her where he was or doing. He had not even attempted to contact her or respond to any of her messages. She viewed it as suspicious behavior. The window to her office bust open as Jiraiya made his entrance. He did not get anywhere near Tsunade. Fearing for the health of his beautiful body, he stayed at the window. "I'm home," Jiraiya said with a large grin on his face. He wanted to start things lightly for when he does have to deliver the news. "It's about time you showed up, pervert," Tsunade stated, ignoring the fact that Jiraiya did something she had abundantly told him not to. That did not matter now. There were pressing matters she had to discuss with him. "So why haven't you made any contact with me? And why have not responded to any of my messages?" Tsunade asked with a straight face. Jiraiya became nervous. "Well, you see, I have been busy that I did not have the time to respond. Nevertheless, here I am. This beats responding by a letter. This way you get to see my beautiful face," Jiraiya said, getting over his nervousness. A tick mark formed on Tsunade's head, but she quickly had it vanish. "So how is he?" Jiraiya scratched his forehead, trying to find a better way to say it. He found none, so he decided to say it like it was. "Well, you see, Haim, a few days after we left the village, Naruto ran away from me." It took a few seconds for Tsunade to register what Jiraiya had said. When she did, all hell broke loose. "What?" Her voice shook the very foundations of the village of Konohagaka no Sato. Everyone who was close to the office quickly put some distance between him or her and the Hokage's tower. When the Godame made a screech like that, she was definitely not in a good mood. Moreover, when she was in a bad mood, things tended out to be nasty for whoever was in her office. "It's not my fault, Haim. I had left him at a hotel room we had booked. When I returned from meeting my contact, he was gone," Jiraiya said, positioning both his hands in front of him in a defensive manner. "Jiraiya," Tsunade said as a murderous aura radiated around her. Her eyes lost their color as she stood up with clenched fists. She was beyond angry. "Haim, please, don't do anything. I am also worried about him," Jiraiya protested, knowing what was about to come. He had his hands in front of himself ready to defend himself. His skin paled with each step Tsunade took towards him. Cold shivers rocked down his spine at the murderous aura that surrounded the blonde Hokage. "Jiraiya, how could you?" Tsunade uttered again. Though not looking for an answer from Jiraiya, she got within touching distances of the Sannin. Her very breath was hot and intense enough to burn Jiraiya's skin. She grabbed the pervert by his collar and glared at him with a piercing look. Then it began. Jiraiya's girly screams echoed throughout Konoha for an hour as Tsunade broke every bone in his body. 3 hours later, after a surgery, Jiraiya's whole body was bandaged. He looked like a mummy more than anything. Despite having every bone in his body broken more than 10 times by Tsunade, he always made a speedy recovery, something that surprised even Tsunade, as she could not explain how it came to be. So despite his condition, in a few days he would be out there doing his research. Explain everything to me, Jiraiya. Tsunade barked impatiently, staring at the Sannin. I already told you, Jiraiya stated with a sigh. His body still hurt because of the beating he received. We booked a hotel in a town just 3 days a walk away from Konoha. I told him to stay at the hotel while I went to meet up with my spy contact. When I returned, he was gone along with his traveling documents. Jiraiya explained everything. Tsunade sighed, given how the condition in which Naruto left the village. It was believable that he would run away from Jiraiya. From what she had heard, Naruto was crafty enough to run away without a trace. But she was not going to let Jiraiya off the hook like that. It was his responsibility to make sure that something like that did not happen. What have you been doing over the past 2 years? Tsunade asked with narrowed eyes. I have been searching for him all over the elemental nations, Jiraiya replied, looking at the ceiling. And I was not able to find him, not even a trace. The fact that a 13-year-old got away from him hurt his pride. So that was why you decided to inform me, Tsunade stated. So if you had found him, you would never have told me that he had ran away, Tsunade stated accusingly. Jiraiya smiled nervously. Tsunade knew him better. He would never have told her something like that. She would have freaked out if he did, and it was good for his health if he did not. Tsunade sighed and took a seat beside Jiraiya's bed. So you don't know where he is, what he is doing and how he is doing, she concluded. Jiraiya nodded. The toads know where he is, he said. What? Tsunade said. Then why didn't they tell you? Because Naruto asked them not to, Jiraiya replied through gritted teeth. He has been a loyal summoner to the toads, and yet they refused to tell him where Naruto was. He was like a senior summoner, and Naruto was just a junior summoner. And yet they took the word of Naruto. That brat, Tsunade muttered bitterly. The fact that Naruto told the toads not to reveal his location meant that he did not want to be found. Gamabunta did tell me that he is fine though. By the looks of it, he is training somewhere with someone, but I found that hard to believe. Tsunade nodded. Naruto could not have someone training him outside Konoha. He did not know any shinobi outside the village. The logical conclusion would be that he was training on his own with the toads helping him. What now? Tsunade asked in a defeated tone. I will keep looking for him, that is after I get out of this place, Jiraiya replied. How is it going with Sasuke? He asked, changing the subject. So far so good. Danzu has succeeded in teaching some manners to the brat, Tsunade said, not showing any interest to what she has just said. He has already made Jounin, and I had Kakashi take over the training. I figured that Kakashi would be a good influence to him. Jiraiya nodded. I did not expect that his training would excel so fast. It does seem that Danzu's training methods are very effective, he commented. Yes, it does. Nevertheless, he tends to have his trainees turn into emotionless killing robots. That is why I had Kakashi take over, Tsunade replied. She could care less for the Uchiha brat. However, a change in his attitude would make things for her. What do you plan to do with him? I plan to have him become an amble on temporary basis. Other than that, he will operate like any other Jounin, Tsunade said, getting up from her seat. I am going back to the office. Stay here until I clear you. Is that clear? Tsunade said with a fierce glare at Jiraiya. Jiraiya nodded, and Tsunade proceeded to leave the room. As soon as Tsunade left, Jiraiya made his miraculous recovery. He stripped off his bandages with a few winces and left through the window. Research awaited him. 2 years, 10 months after Naruto left Konoha, Naruto jumped back, avoiding Itachi's punch, which crashed into the ground, creating a small crater. Naruto dashed towards while the Uchiha's fist was still planted on the ground. He swung his right foot, attempting to land a kick on Itachi's face. Itachi sensed the attack and looked up. He positioned both his hands and blocked the kick. The kick had so much force that it pushed Itachi back and made him wince. The wince was never shown on his face. Naruto continued his assault by raising his other foot. He swung it and attempted a roundhouse kick at his opponent. The kick came at Itachi with so much speed that he could not avoid it. His hands were still recovering from Naruto's previous kick. He only managed to bring out one hand to block the kick. It was not enough as the kick sent him flying. Naruto did not give Itachi time to recover as he appeared above Itachi. He applied wind chakra to his fist, preparing for a bone-cracking punch. He punched Itachi to his chest, sending him crashing down like a bullet. As soon as Itachi hit the ground with a loud crash, Naruto noticed that there was something wrong. Itachi would not have been caught easily. Genjutsu, Naruto thought to himself. He held a single hand seal, Kai, he muttered and dispelled the illusion. He sensed something from behind. Spinning around, Naruto saw Itachi dashing at him at fast speeds. Naruto could do nothing as Itachi's knee crashed into his gut. Itachi added to the assault with a powerful punch to Naruto's face. The punch sent Naruto in flight. Naruto recovered quickly before he hit something and flipped in midair. He landed on the ground in a crouch position before standing up and looking at Itachi impassively. "You caught me in your genjutsu the moment I appeared above you," Naruto stated. Itachi nodded. "You are getting good at detecting genjutsu," he commented. It was indeed true. Naruto had become good at detecting his illusions. When they started training, Naruto did not have any skills at genjutsu. He could be caught in one for the whole day and still not be able to recognize that he had been caught in a genjutsu. Naruto said no word any further. There was no need for him to say anything. He got into his taijutsu stance and prepared to face Itachi once again. Both opponents ran towards each other and clashed in between. Itachi attempted a high roundhouse kick at Naruto. Naruto saw the attack coming and crouched down, dodging Itachi's kick. He spun around and attempted a leg sweep on Itachi. Itachi was too experienced to be caught by something like that. Thus he jumped up to avoid Naruto's leg sweep. While still in flight, Itachi flashed through hand seals, gathering enough chakra for his jutsu. Fire style. Great Fireball. A large fireball expelled from Itachi's mouth and raced down at Naruto, who was still in a crouch position. The flames hit Naruto and consumed him before dying down. Itachi was on alert, knowing that something like that would not put Naruto down, despite him firing the jutsu at a close range. He was not disappointed as Naruto charged at him from behind. He quickly spun around to block a kick aimed at his head. Another Naruto appeared behind Itachi and threw a number of shurikens at the Uchiha's back. The Naruto that had attempted to kick Itachi disappeared in a puff of smoke. Itachi realized that it had been just a distraction. He quickly used a replacement technique to avoid the shurikens that were of no doubt doing to pierce his back. A log appeared in his place, taking the hits that were meant for him. Naruto narrowed his eyes searching for Itachi. He did not have to wait long as a bundle of shurikens flew towards him at high speed. Naruto gathered the wind around him and mixed it with his own chakra. Wind release. Wind palm. Gusts of wind sped towards the shurikens. The two attacks met and Naruto's jutsu propelled the shurikens away from Naruto. The gusts of wind continued to make their way towards Itachi, who simply leaped away. Naruto went through a number of hand signs. As he did that, the wind around him turned into at least 20 wind shurikens that were spinning around him. Wind release. Wind shuriken. The wind shurikens sped at the unmoving form of Itachi. He knew that the shurikens were sharp and could leave a few gashes should they hit him. He had seen the attack before, and it would be nasty if he were to be hit. As soon as the wind shurikens got into touching distance with Itachi, he disappeared in a burst of crows. Naruto cancelled his technique and looked to where Itachi had disappeared. Fire release. Phoenix flower. A number of fireballs sped at Naruto. Naruto looked at the fireballs, a few thoughts running through his head. He was trying to run how the scenario would end up. Itachi often used the jutsu as a distraction, and there was always a secondary attack hidden within the flames. Naruto could not really conclude what Itachi was hoping he would do. Naruto shrugged off his thoughts and went through several hand signs. After the hand signs, he clasped his hands together and released a wave of chakra. Sealing art. Chakra barrier. Naruto muttered as a barrier erected around him. The barrier was orange, taking the color of Naruto's chakra. It did not cover a wide area, it did just enough to shield Naruto. The fireballs hit the barrier, but were unable to break through the barrier. Itachi sighed slightly and went through a set of hand seals. Fire style. Dragon breath. Itachi expelled a jet stream of hot and intense flames towards Naruto. The flames sped towards Naruto with amazing speed. Naruto just stood unmoving inside his barrier. He was concentrating on keeping his barrier active. Itachi's jutsu crashed into Naruto's barrier. The flames covered Naruto's entire front, trying to break through the barrier. Naruto held on without wavering on his barrier. The barrier's strength was determined by the amount of chakra he put on it. If he put more chakra on it, the barrier would be stronger. Naruto called it chakra barrier, because nothing that had chakra could penetrate through it, depending on the chakra Naruto put to reinforce it. That did not mean that physical attacks could just pass through it though. With enough physical force it would break. Despite its resistance, the barrier drained too much chakra depending on the kind of attack hit it. Naruto also could not attack because what was inside the barrier stayed inside the barrier, and what was outside stayed outside. Naruto also had to concentrate on keeping the barrier active. The flames died down, clearing the path for Naruto to see Itachi. Naruto deactivated the barrier and charged at Itachi. They engaged in a fierce taijutsu battle that ignited sparks around the small training ground. Naruto was faster than Itachi, but Itachi had the Sharingan to predict Naruto's attack. This only made the battle even fiercer than it had been, as none let their guard down. Punches and kicks were thrown at one another, which were each being either blocked or dodged. Well, that was before Itachi suddenly blurred out of sight and appeared behind Naruto and positioned a kunai on his neck. Itachi was alarmed when he felt a sudden rise of chakra from Naruto. The Naruto suddenly exploded to gusts of winds. The explosion caught Itachi, giving him multiple cuts on his front and sending him flying away. Itachi recovered quickly and flipped twice before landing on the ground on his feet. The moment he landed, he felt a spike of chakra from Naruto. The said blonde appeared in front of Itachi with a Rasengan on his right hand. Rasengan. Naruto yelled as he tried slamming the Rasengan on Itachi's gut. Itachi was saved by his experience by leaping sideways from the attack. Naruto missed Itachi, and his Rasengan slammed the ground, creating an explosion. The explosion was just a testimony to the power of the Rasengan. As the lifted debris cleared, a rather large crater was formed in the middle of the training ground, and Naruto was standing still in the middle of the crater, panting slightly. Itachi stood not far away from Naruto, his clothes tattered because of the explosive clone that hit him, but he was otherwise okay, if not counting his slightly labored breathing. Okay. I think this is enough, Itachi said, calling the spar to a halt before Naruto destroyed the training ground with his jutsus. Yes, each time the sparred, Naruto always destroyed the training ground with his destructive jutsus. Itachi had banned Naruto from using some of his destructive jutsus in the training ground. It was not that he was afraid that someone nearby would sense their chakra. There was a barrier surrounding the hideout. It made it impossible for anyone to sense the chakra inside the barrier. No. He was just tied to having to repair the training ground each time Naruto destroyed it. Naruto nodded and dusted himself. He walked over to a tree and took a meditative pose to relax his body after the spar. It was always good to relax and recover the chakra spent. As Naruto did his meditating, Itachi went back to the house. The following day, Naruto was lying under the tree with eyes closed. He was enjoying the breeze that washed over him. It was not every day that he could relax and not think about training. He could now relax as he was proud of what he has achieved so far on his training. He could relax because of that, but that did not mean he no longer took training seriously. He still trained as hard as he could, breaking a few bones if he could. Itachi walked over to Naruto and sat down beside the blonde with a rather serious look on his face. Naruto had sensed him, but did not bother to open his eyes. I want to tell you two important things, Naruto-kun, Itachi said, looking at Naruto. Naruto's eyes snapped open to look at Itachi, but he never got up, remained as he was. This action was enough to tell Itachi he could speak. The first thing I want to talk to you is about the Akatsuki and my reasons for departure, Itachi stated without a hint of emotion. Naruto looked at Itachi with slightly narrowed eyes. Itachi never spoke about the Akatsuki, neither did he bother to ask. He had always assumed that there was a story behind Itachi's defection from the criminal organization. The Akatsuki no longer exists, Itachi stated bluntly. He did not need to go to Konoha and come back to say it. He was a straightforward person and did not have the patience to go around circles to say something. If Naruto was shocked by the news, he hid it well. The only reaction he gave was a raised eyebrow. Despite not showing it outwardly, the news was a surprise to him. Why? Naruto asked nonchalantly. The leader and the figurehead Pain of the organization were fighting for the leadership of the organization. Pain did not like where the real leader of the organization was taking things, and some of the decision he was making. Thus it resulted in a dispute. Itachi paused for a moment. Naruto simply listened on as Itachi spoke. He was truly surprised by the revelation. Never had he thought that Akatsuki had two leaders. The fallout was predictable. The leaders had to be stronger than the rest of the Akatsuki members to lead the organization. It meant that between them, there were some massive egos, and each of them would want to assert their superiority over the other. If Pain felt that the real leader was no longer worthy of being leader, he would try to remove him. The dispute resulted in a major battle that took place in Aim, where Akatsuki was based. The battle between the two resulted in half on Omegaka being destroyed. Pain killed the real leader in the battle. Due to the strain caused by the battle on his body, he was left on the verge on death. But before he died, he revived everyone in Aim, the leader excluded, who was killed because the battle, Itachi stated. He himself had not seen the battle, but he had seen the aftermath. The destruction was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was beyond what a cage could do. When he had seen the destruction that was in Aim, he could not deny that the figurehead of Akatsuki, Pain, was right when he did say he was a god. The villagers of Aim were correct to call the man a god. He did not believe that the man held such strength. He believed it when he saw the destruction. With the leaders being dead, that would cause the members to disband. Naruto commented, seeing how it would end up. Followers followed their leader, and if the leader was no more, then they would follow their own path. Yes. However, some that had become friends chose to remain together to continue their lives as wanted S-rank criminals. Itachi stated, his calm look never fading away. Naruto nodded. So you chose to leave your teammate, leaving the other members to do what they wanted to do, he said. Yes, as I told you, I was interested in you. Thus I left him, and it all ended up here. Itachi replied with a nod. After Naruto had left Konoha with Jiraiya, the choices that were made led to the events that had occurred. Right now, There are 5 or 6 former Akatsuki members running loose within the elemental nations, Naruto stated. They were to surely run loose around the villages, given that they no longer followed orders of Akatsuki. Akatsuki did things professional and hid well their activities, eluding unwanted attention. Now that they're no longer with Akatsuki, they were to act like loose cannons, doing criminal activities after the other, that is if they not smart. Yes. Now without the Akatsuki, Jinchurikis won't be targeted anymore. Naruto nodded. That was some good news. He would no longer have to worry what the Akatsuki coming after him for the Kyuubi. This meant that all Jinchurikis were now safe. That is some good news, he said. What happened to Omegaka? The figurehead leader of Akatsuki, Pain, was the leader of the village after having defeated Hanzo. He had a partner named Conan. From what I know, she has known him since they were just children. She is now the leader of Omegaka. Naruto nodded. What was really the goal of Akatsuki? Naruto asked, wondering why the organization would want with the power of 9 Bijus. With that kind of power in the hands of criminals, nothing good would be achieved. Itachi shook his head. Even I do not know why Bijus were being gathered. Nevertheless, what I do know is that Pain desired peace along with his partner Conan. They wanted peace through the power of all 9 Bijus combined. He could never figure out what Madara was planning with the use of the Bijus. He had tried everything to find what the man wanted with Bijus. Still, to this day it is a mystery to him. I wonder what kind of peace the man would have brought with the power of all the Bijus. Naruto stated more to himself than to Itachi. It was nothing good, Itachi said. After a few moments of silence, he spoke again. The second important thing I want to tell you is a secret that you cannot reveal to anyone. Even I was not supposed to tell anyone, but I feel that you deserve to know the truth. Some of the dark things about Konoha, Itachi stated in a rather serious tone. Naruto got up and leaned against the tree. He looked at Itachi for a moment. Sure, they trusted each other, but he did not think that Itachi would go as far as to reveal secrets that he had sworn not to reveal. The secret Itachi wanted to tell him was making him curious as to what it may be. Only 3 people in Konoha know of it. Shimura Danzu, Mitakado Hamura and Utate Kaharu. These 3 are from the council. The Sandaime was aware of the secret by he is dead now, Itachi stated, keeping his serious tone. There is no record of it anywhere in Konoha. Naruto now was even more curious than he had been before. It was written all over his face. Itachi was involved with the Sandaime and members of the council. He was curious, very curious. So, not even the Anbu commander, Jiraiya or the Hokage, are aware of it. Naruto commented. Itachi nodded. What I'm about to tell you is the secret behind the Uchiha massacre. Naruto was now leaning a bit close to Itachi, figuratively so that he would not miss a word Itachi was going to say. I did not massacre my clan because I wanted to test my strength or anything. It was because I was ordered to, Itachi revealed. Naruto's eyes widened slightly before they returned to normal after a second of widening. That was the best reaction one could get from Naruto. Why? Naruto asked a question that anyone would have asked after hearing what he had heard. My clan was planning a coup d'etat to take over the village. The Sandaime tried peace talks between the village and my clan, but the talk just reached an impasse. I was ordered to massacre my clan to save the village from a civil war that would have destroyed it, Itachi stated impassively. Naruto stared at Itachi for a moment. He could not believe that Konoha would do something like that. Ordering the extermination of the whole clan was just unthinkable. He could not believe that the Sandaime would allow something like that to occur, even though the peace talks had reached an impasse. Why did your clan plan a coup d'etat? It was because they felt that they were losing power in Konoha. The clan had been secluded from the rest of the village. They also held no real power in Konoha. Thus they felt that they were wanted out of the village their former leader had taken part in establishing. Naruto felt like he could understand what they were feeling. The Uchiha clan and the Senju clan were the 2 clans that formed Konoha. It could be depicted that way since Uchiha Madara, head clan of the Uchiha clan at the time, and Senju Hashirama, leader of the Senju clan, formed joint hands and formed Konoha. At the time of the massacre, the Uchiha clan were reduced to be nothing but police officers with no real power. They deserved more than what Konoha was offering them. However, regardless of that, planning a coup d'etat was not a way to do things. After the Kyuubi's attack on Konoha, the village started to think that the Uchiha clan was behind the attack. With that thought, the Uchiha clan lost trust of the villagers, and most tended to avoid clan members. Itachi added. Naruto remembered when Itachi had told him that a Sharingan had been thought to be manipulating the Kyuubi to attack the village. The Sharingan is a Dojutsu belonging to the Uchiha clan. It was given that at the thought that the Kyuubi was being manipulated, they would look at the Uchiha clan. It did not help the matter, since there was no Uchiha who had turned rogue at the time. Blame would be on the Uchiha clan, Naruto stated. After saying that, a small smile crept to his face, making Itachi raise a brow. Naruto was obviously amused by something. The villagers thought that the Kyuubi was being manipulated by someone, yet they continued to hate it for the rampage, while simultaneously blaming the Uchiha for its rampage. If they believed that it was being controlled by someone, why did they continue to hate it when they believed that it was just a puppet in the whole matter? Naruto stated, "They have no standing point, they say it was a puppet, and yet they continue to hate it. If they were smart, they would have concluded that the Kyuubi was not to blame for the attack, since it was merely being used." Itachi nodded. Not many people saw things the way Naruto did. Even though Konoha thought the Kyuubi was just a puppet, they continued to hate it, as if it was its decision to attack. Everyone who saw the Bijuru attack the village knew that it appeared in a puff of smoke, which meant one thing. It was summoned to Konoha. If it had been a person to have done it, they would not have hated the person as much as they did the Kyuubi. Their minds just could not afford to let the Kyuubi go because it was not human. To them it was a demon of mass destruction that almost destroyed their village, albeit being manipulated to do so per their belief. "You are taking this better than I had anticipated." Itachi commented on how Naruto was not judging him for anything. "I had my suspicions after getting to understand you." Naruto replied with a shrug, "It must have been hard for you to kill your own parents." Naruto stated, eyeing Itachi, "Yes, it was." Itachi replied with no hint of emotion on his tone or his face. Naruto was not expecting any from the stoic Uchiha. "Why was Sasuke sparred?" "I could not kill him," Itachi replied simply. Naruto closed his eyes. He had thought as much. Itachi loved his brother. From what he knew so far, Itachi did not regret taking choice to wipe out his clan. Konoha meant more to him than his own clan. You don't want Sasuke to find out about such information knowing how he might react. And you want him to kill you, avenging your clan while also cleaning the blood of the Uchiha clan on your hands. Naruto stated, getting up, eyes still closed. "I will keep it to myself and thank you for trusting me with such information," he said, and walked away from Itachi. He wanted to begin work on a few seals that he had yet to complete. Itachi smiled slightly seeing Naruto walk away. He was glad to have met someone like him, someone with a kind heart, understanding and trustworthy. Naruto was unlike anyone he had ever seen in his life. He had a kind heart like his father, genius with seals. But there was something that he could not place a finger on that made him different from his father. They were alike in so many ways, but there was something in Naruto that made them different. The Sandaime have been kind of peaceful man during his lifetime, especially during his old age days. But he was nothing like Naruto. There was no one in the world that was like Naruto. He had met many people, but none of them were like Naruto. He was lucky to have seen that and take the boy under him, and nature him to be what he was now. Jiraiya had been a fool by not taking training Naruto seriously. He had no qualms with the man, in fact he respected him. Jiraiya was unlike his fellow Sanins. Jiraiya was a peace-loving man like the Sandaime Hokage, his sensei. However, with Naruto he had turned a blind eye. Itachi had no doubt he would have natured the blonde to be a peace-loving person. Itachi could not give himself all the credit for what Naruto was to become. Naruto was a peaceful person by his own right. He had just yet to realize that fact. In regards to training, it was Naruto's determination to become strong that made them achieve so many things in training. He was just a guide, everything else was Naruto. A few days later, Mount Myoboku, Naruto suddenly found himself transported to another world. It had been early in the morning when that happened. He looked around where he was and recognized that it was Fukasaku's house. He had been summoned here before when he had requested to be taught Senjutsu. Naruto looked around house and saw Fukasaku and Shima looking at him. "I was thinking you might no longer call me Fukasaku-sama," Naruto stated, looking at the Toad Sage. "Mara and I just had a lot of thought about it," Fukasaku said with a smile. "We have decided to train you in Senjutsu. Mara will not be doing anything. I will teach you," he said. Naruto smiled slightly at the news, though the smile quickly disappeared as if it was never there. "That is pleasing to know," he said. "Pa, I will go get some food for Naruto-chan. He has to taste my delicious food before he begins his training," Shima said, looking at her husband. Fukasaku just nodded. He did not want to deal with his wife now. Naruto was more important. "Follow me, Naruto-chan." Naruto crouched out of the small house and followed Fukasaku. They went to a clearing, which had statues of large toads. Naruto just walked over, enjoying the cool breeze that washed over him. The air around him was enjoyable and not the same as the air he breathed at the hideout. The air at Village of the Toads felt natural. Fukasaku ordered Naruto to sit down, while he stood staring at the blonde with a serious look on his face. "Before I even begin to teach you Senjutsu, you have to know the risks," he said, making Naruto raise a brow. "Learning Senjutsu requires you to absorb chakra from nature and balance it with your own physical and spiritual energy. The chakra you absorb from nature is extremely powerful. Absorbing too much of the chakra or not having too much control of the chakra will turn you into one of those," he said, pointing at the statues that seemed to decorate the area. Naruto was certainly not expecting something like that to be as the risk of learning Senjutsu. Itachi had said Senjutsu was powerful. Naruto now could conclude that nothing of great power did not come easy to achieve. Nevertheless, for great power to be achieved, one had to deal with the risks. Do you still want to train even when knowing that you can die? Fukasaku asked. Yes. I have never been the one to back down from anything, Naruto replied with a small smile, recalling his old self. Fukasaku smiled. I thought you might say something like that. He then instructed Naruto to sit beside a waterfall. That was what Naruto thought, but it was not actually water that was flowing, but oil. To be able to absorb natural energy, you must be able to be one with nature, feel nature, hear nature, he said as Naruto took a meditative pose. Getting in touch with nature should be easy given that you meditate a lot, he said. Is it possible to train somewhere else in the elemental nations other than here? Naruto asked. Fukasaku nodded, yes. However, due to the risks you have to train here, this oil helps you to absorb nature chakra easily. It is only found here and cannot be found anywhere. He said to pour the oil on Naruto. When you absorb too much chakra, I will hit you with this, he said as a black stick suddenly appeared on his hand. This stick will force natural chakra out of your body when the process of purification begins. With those things said, Naruto began his Senjutsu training with the Toad Sage. Fukasaku wanted Naruto to begin as soon as possible, so he could perfect the training before he has to return to Konoha. Jiraiya had never perfected the training even when it had taken a year to train. In fact, the Toad had concluded that it was impossible for the Sannin. It would explain why Jiraiya had never bothered coming back to Meibokusen to perfect the training. Jiraiya could not enter Sage Mode on his own, which made his Sage Mode imperfect. Naruto was different from Jiraiya. Naruto had more chakra than Jiraiya did when he learned Senjutsu. To be able to perfect Senjutsu, you had to have large amounts of chakra reserves that Naruto had. That day it was already noon, and Itachi had yet to see Naruto. It was unlike Naruto to disappear without a warning. Mostly if he did go somewhere, it would be at the Valley of the End to meditate. He never left without saying a word. Not that Itachi was worried for the blonde. He knew that Naruto could take care of himself. Burying himself in his thoughts, Itachi decided to just wait and see. A toad appeared in a puff of smoke in the middle of the training. It was big as him. He quickly recognized the toad as Gamakichi. Naruto usually summoned the toad to give a report on how he was doing and how far he was progressing with his training. Gamakichi saw Itachi sitting comfortably under a tree and jumped over to him. I was sent to tell you that Naruto was reverse summoned to Mount Meiboku. He won't be returning for a while now. The elders have agreed to teach him Senjutsu, Gamakichi said, and then disappeared in a puff of smoke. He did not like staring at the eyes Sharingan of Itachi. It unnerved, the man never smiled. He would come back later during the day and fetch the things Naruto had requested. Naruto had requested that the elders teach him Senjutsu, after Itachi had told him that Jiraiya used Senjutsu, and was very powerful when using Senjutsu. Naruto had made the request there about a month ago. Seeing that there was nothing else Itachi could teach him, what was left was just to perfect his jutsu arsenal and Fuinjutsu. It should take him a couple of months to learn Senjutsu. Itachi thought to himself. He would have the whole time to himself to do other things with Naruto gone. It had been over 2 years since he left the area close to the hideout. He had always stayed there, as he did not need anything to outside the hideout. He could go outside to see what villagers have been up to, and what his former Akatsuki comrades were doing with their time. A month and a half later, Naruto appeared at the Uchiha hideout in a puff of smoke. He had completed his Senjutsu training far faster than Fukasaku had anticipated. Even Shima was surprised. The two great Toad Sages were very surprised, given that Jiraiya learned Senjutsu for over a year and was still unable to perfect it. But Naruto was able to perfect his Sage Mode under a month. He stayed at the Land of the Toads to train more in wind manipulation and seals. The atmosphere at Mount Meiboku was perfect for him to train further his control over the wind element. Naruto walked calmly towards the house. Training at the Land of the Toads had been rather harsh to his body, but it was nothing he was not used to. His body had worked overtime. Right now he just needed to rest. Itachi raised a brow upon seeing Naruto. I took little time than I had anticipated, Itachi stated. That is what the toad said, Naruto replied. I'm going to rest, he said, and walked to his room. Itachi raised another brow. It must have been a harsh training he had gone through to look for rest after just returning. 2 days later, Naruto sat comfortably under a tree doing nothing in particular. He had rested enough. Right now he was just resting his mind for a bit. It had worked overtime while he was at Mount Meiboku. His body had rested physically, but for his mind to compute at its full potential, He needed to allow it to rest a bit more before going back to working it overtime again. Itachi walked over to Naruto holding a small storage scroll. Naruto noticed the Uchiha's presence and looked up to him. "I have something to give you, Naruto-kun," Itachi stated. "I collected it while you were gone," he said, handing over the scroll he held to Naruto. Naruto took the scroll and opened it. He channeled chakra on the seal to summon whatever that was sealed inside the scroll. In a puff of smoke, a sword appeared in a sheath. It was not just any sword, it was a sword sparkling with electricity. It was the sword of the Flying Thunder God, the blade of the Nidaime Hokage. Naruto looked at Itachi with the blade firmly on his hands. He had the widest smile Itachi had ever seen from the blonde. Naruto was happy. No, he was overjoyed by what Itachi had given him. He felt happy more than the time Iruka gave him his headband. The sword was his first gift given to him by someone else. He could not count the necklace Tsune gave him as he had won it over their bed. He opened his mouth and said 3 words that almost made the stoic Uchiha Itachi give a foxy grin. "Thank you, Nai-san." And that closes part 1 of What If Naruto Was Trained by Uchiha Itachi During the Time Skip. If you enjoyed this video and want to see the next part, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends, and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. See you in the next part. Check out my other anime what ifs.